That's our camera right there, I assume.
Yeah. All right, so
We're ready.
all right, guess we're going for it, huh?
We are.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Snohomish County, Washington. We are live for the second race in the Spartan U.S. Championship Series. And this one last year was fantastic. We're looking for an even better race this year. This event presented today by Snohomish County, Washington, one of the most beautiful areas that we race in all year long. An awesome area to just be outdoorsy, get outside, do incredible things like whitewater rafting and wakeboarding and climbing and everything you could imagine, a perfect training ground for a Spartan race. And today, in the second race of the U.S. Championship Series, yours truly, David Magida and Amelia Boone, are going to take you guys through quite the day. So, Amelia, this is your stomping grounds.
This is my old stomping grounds. Born and raised in the Pacific Northwest. Went to law school here. And people ask why the Northwest is so beautiful. Let me tell you, because it rains 9-10 months out of the year.
It's been raining all week.
It's been raining all week. The course is muddy. Very, very, very muddy. And it could create some very interesting things. It's been heavy rain all night long. It's starting to break a little bit right now, actually. But all the obstacles are wet right now.
Everything is wet. It's a slop fest out there, which is gonna take the speed and really condense it. Everybody's gonna be a little bit more clustered, I think, today, which is really fun when we look at how this race is gonna play out. And the stakes of the obstacles is higher, and the failure rate is going to be higher as well. So it's going to be majorly impactful on the standings in this race. And if we look at the way this played out last year, obstacles were a major factor in Alyssa Hawley's victory,
right?
And also in Hobie Call and Robert Killian not taking the day themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, last year we had Lindsay Webster, who was leading the race the entire time. And then she gets Twister. Twister's wet. She falls off Twister. Alyssa makes it, blows by her, and nabs the first victory there of that series.
This is going to be a day for the sure-handed athletes, the athletes who are not going to have massive problems when they head into some of these obstacles, and the ones who can really hold it together and run clean races. We have 8.2 miles on this course today, so it's about 1.5 miles shorter than last year's course. They cut out the rock quarry on the middle end of that course. There are 28 obstacles. There will be Twister, which I think will be a factor today. You're looking at behind us
rig.
A multi-rig.
Yep.
And of course, there's a bucket carry right before that. So that should make things a little bit exciting, wear out the hands a little bit. We'll see how that goes. But mostly we're looking at terrain-wise, a relatively flat course, fast course. You're going to see some really high speeds. That's what we saw last year. And because of that, some of the quicker runners in the field were up near the front of the course the front of the pack last year before carnage ensued.
Yeah, before carnage. It's true. And it is, so there is some elevation that's cut off last year. I think we only have about 1,000 feet of climbing in this. So it is definitely much flatter. But as we've talked about, it's sloppy. It's sloppy. And if you're not used to running on technical terrain, if you're not used to running in the mud, it will slow down even the fastest runners out there.
So for those of you tuning in and are joining us for the first time, this is the second event in our Spartan U.S. Championship Series for 2018, or excuse me, our national series for 2018. And this event is important because essentially you get to score 4 of your 5 events. They take your scores, your top scores from 4 or 5, or if you only complete all 4 of those, you get to drop your lowest score. And of course, then we rank everybody. We find out who our top 10, 15, 20 athletes. We're paying out 20 deep this year, which is pretty incredible. $15,000 in total prize money will be given out today, and over $100,000 in cash and prizes will be given out over the course of this season. So there's a lot at stake, of course, and your big guns are coming out to come compete for it.
Oh, yeah. We got everyone out back and raring to go, and so especially right now, we talk about the return also of Ryan Atkins and Lindsay Webster, who missed the first race in San Jose this year.
So, and we should delve into this a little bit because obviously Ryan Atkins always being a threat, having won this series before, having finished second as well, and having finished second 3 times at World Championships. We know where he is, right? 4th last year, always right there. And Lindsey Webster, a world champion in her own right, defending champion in this series twice over. And And of course, just
reigning Spartan world champion.
Yeah, so dominant and reigning Spartan world champion. So upset a 2-time champ. So the two of them have been in Nepal,
yes,
and India. They were climbing mountains in Nepal. All
Well,
the way to
they were
Everest
doing-
Base Camp.
Yes, all the way to, and we should mention that they were actually there for a charity event. I mean, they were like building houses and doing incredible things over there, which I think is so great, giving back to the community. But they also were up to Everest Base Camp, and so I'm like, so how does that altitude treat you now? We may see some gains from that.
So they were hovering around 18,000 feet altitude, which is, incredibly high when you talk about how rapidly altitude eliminates or reduces the oxygen count. So basically, these guys have been up there, but not doing traditional training for the last month or so. They've been really just focused on a lot of climbing, a lot of hiking, things like that. So it's going to be fun to see them come down to a relatively flat course, fast course, and see if they can get the wheels turning.
Yeah. I mean, and especially too, just like kind of, as people call it, I hate the term rust busters, just to get out there and be out on a course again, and so some of these people, a lot of these racers who are in San Jose, they've been doing some OCRs for these past few months. And so just maybe their first time out there. Is there a little bit of rust on that?
I
doubt
don't
it,
see
but
Ryan having much rust on him. I've never seen the guy fail an obstacle. But
it's true.
We'll see how this goes. And we have what I think is an interesting storyline in the men's race is that it's a completely wide open field when you look at the men's field, because Ryan took this race last year, although really he probably ran the race to finish third because Hobie Call slipped off the Z-wall, later fell on his bucket carry, cost himself probably 3 minutes or so in that race. Robert Killian was in the lead handily and stepped on the rope of his spear throw, missed his spear. So, and then later moved back into second position and then failed the multi-rig somehow. It's the only time I've ever seen him fail a multi-rig. And so what we have here is a situation where he's out for redemption, especially given last week's or his last race and how he finished third, expecting to come in and win that race. You have Ryan Woods, who's come in, dominated in San Jose in the first event of our U.S. National Series. And now we're looking for him to really emerge as a star. And Ryan Kent ran incredibly well here last year and was in second position up until the last couple obstacles as well. So in my eyes, it's a wide open men's field, and it's as much so for the women's field, if you want to talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think so. So last year we saw Alyssa emerge dominant, but as she was running behind Lindsay, and Lindsay was winning the entire race. And then it was really came down to that gauntlet at the end, which determined it. And so, but also, we have Rhea Coble, who finished first in San Jose handily. But I mean, and Faye as well. So you have Rhea, Faye is back here, and Faye has that fire in her. I mean, she's always got that fire, but I know she was, not thrilled with how San Jose went. It's never perfect for her, and she's always striving for that. So she really is going to come out guns a-blazing. And really a new twist in the series this year is Miriam, and coming over from France, and came in third in San Jose. And she has finished, I think 8th last year at Spartan Race World Championship.
Yeah, with like 210 burpees.
Exactly. But the difference is now she has learned to do obstacles.
Yeah, she has. She was very good at them in San Jose. She looked very smooth.
Yeah, so I heard. And so I think that's going to be a new factor in the series this year. And I love to see more international women coming over and really competing in this.
So what fascinates me is this is a course that Alyssa Hawley has won twice.
Yes.
She's held serve on her home course twice now. The first time racing against Rose Wetzel when Rose was really kind of in her prime and then had a few medical things that slowed her down the first year. Then being able to take down some of the top ladies in the sport last year. I mean, they all gathered here and she outran them. And then this year, it's like, okay, I look at the season as you have your defending champion, Lindsay Webster, but then also Rhea Coble looks like this new unstoppable force that does not fatigue and now knows how to do obstacles and isn't making major mistakes anymore and comes in with really solid, not just training, but strategy now.
Yeah.
You're seeing the evolution of some of these women who are now in their third year in the sport now are really savvy vets. Her, and I think this is a great course for Faye Stenning too, just given her skill set. This is a perfect course for her. So you're going to see a slugfest in the women's race.
I'll admit, I think that this race is a bit outside of Rhea's comfort zone, and she's admitted that, in that for her, she is a mountain climber. She lives in Boulder now. All of her training is done up and down those peaks and those trails. And so for her to come into something that's fast, flat, and muddy. I mean, she's fast. Don't get me wrong. She's super fast, but flat and muddy. It's not really in her comfort zone.
She would be less happy with this course if it was dry, but I think the wetness is going to help limit some of the top end speed, which will make her a bit more comfortable. And I think just with her engine, she has a chance, but it is not, you're right, it is not her ideal terrain.
But I think what's also going to be interesting, we're missing Nicole Miracle for the second race in a row. Yeah. She's been battling a hamstring injury, and we wish her the best to, get healthy soon. But as somebody who always takes it out as the rabbit, and, and we saw this last year in Seattle too, that first mile, she was just out and fast, guns a-blazing. And so you wonder really who is going to emerge in this group of women as the one who's going to really take the reins and push the pace early on from the beginning.
Well, it's my prediction that, having watched how the race played out in San Jose, that Rhea is going to try to dictate the tempo early. She wants to set a pace. That way it's a pace that she's comfortable with. I also think that Faye's going to try and go wherever she goes, and Lindsay likes to stalk a little bit. Yeah. She runs very similar to the way her husband, Ryan Atkins, runs, in that they both don't worry about winning the first mile. They sit back. They keep an eye on the people they need to keep an eye on. They don't lose too much position, but they conserve energy. They run very intelligent races.
Yeah, and I think that's key, and that is a sign of a veteran. Is you run your own race, and they're very, very comfortable in running behind and in hunting instead of being the hunted, because God knows that's an awful position to be in. I would also be remiss to not mention Leanne Wasney, who came in fifth there in San Jose. Actually, I was first introduced to her last year in San Jose at this time, where she almost nipped Faye at the very end of the race to come in third. And so I think that she is a newcomer, and but like in her second year as a racer, and really, really coming into her own now. So I'm looking for a strong performance for her this time around. And also Northwest girl as well. She's used to the rain.
Yeah, and I think given the terrain of this course, and you look at some other guys on the men's side that I want to talk about that might be major factors. Aaron Newell, he's been on the scene, but big emergence last race in San Jose. Very fast runner, pure runner. This is going to be a good course for him, as well as Angel Quintero, who's great in the mountains, but also has the wheels to open up and run flat on fast. And don't forget about Hunter Russell. I'm going to call that name out because he was a collegiate runner, ran 350 in the 1500 in college, and has really mastered obstacles lately. And this is a perfect course, ideal course for him. There's somebody that we've got out in the field who is going to give us a really great opportunity to break down the course. Your course manager, you all know him, Steve Hammond.
Steve,
down there on the course. Tell us about what's going on and what you expect out there today.
How are we doing, guys? Well, yes, this is the kind of conditions that I absolutely love. From my home country, Great Britain, this is beautiful Seattle weather, and it is boggy, it is muddy, it is gritty out there. If you have a look at my feet right now, it is just sodden. The absolute mudfest that is going to go on today is going to just be superb. So the course, okay, it's 8.2 miles, as we said. There's not that much elevation in this. I think, as Amelia said, it's about 1,000 feet. It's just shy of that, and that's all in the first half. The rest of the course is very, very flat, but it is muddy. I think in the back end of the course, when they start getting onto sort of mile 4, mile 5, there is some of the faster runners are going to come into fruition on that. You have to get through the gauntlet first. There is a cool gauntlet about 3 to 4 miles into the race, and that is Herkhoist, Spearman, tire flip. Now, the tires are full of water. They're wet. It is on gravel, so that might make it a little bit easier, but they've got to get through all the mud to get there first. And so I think that might be a little bit of a game changer, and somewhere in that you can get a little bit of places and maybe some lead changes there. I'm so excited for this race. I think it's going to be a close one, and I think it's going to be fast. So we're looking at about an hour to an hour 5, depending on how the course cuts up, if it runs pretty well or not. They used to rain here, and we will see. So I'm very excited to see what happens. Back to you guys, David and Amelia.
Well, thanks a lot, Steve. And obviously, we are very lucky to have you out on the course, an expert on that actual course, and having planned this thing out himself. And he also planned out Big Bear, which is going to be our next stop in our national series. That's your neck of the woods, right?
It's about 5 hours south of me.
Oh, yeah,
but,
totally. Her neck of the woods.
Southern California, Big Bear, beautiful, about an hour and a half, 2 hours east of LA. And that was the first year that they did that race was actually last fall. And I remember just people talking about it was to be a very different type of course than what we have going on here. But once again, in this U.S. Championship Series, we're really looking for that athlete that can excel over all different types of terrain. You can't just be a mountain climber. You can't just be a fast runner. You need to be able to do a little bit of everything.
And that's the one big thing. This is the only beast. When you get to Big Bear, that's the only beast in this series that we have. Everything else is supers. So
West Virginia? Oh,
West Virginia
Championship.
That's after the
correct.
series. So
There you go.
and West Virginia is an amazing course as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful rolling hills, and you can really open up on that one. This is going to be probably the most similar to West Virginia, although less hilly and much wetter. Well, we hope much wetter.
I know, right?
This will be probably the sloppiest race of the year. We've had some races that have some similarities to this. Asheville has been very wet before, but nothing quite this nasty. And don't discount the fatigue factor that running through like sloppy mud and having to get your knees really up high and carrying the heavy wet shoes in the mud and just kind of slogging through it, the impact that has on you as an athlete when you're in the middle of your race.
Exactly. And I think also it creates, I know when I go into wet races, every obstacle that you take for granted that it's a clean pass suddenly becomes dicey. Z-walls, for instance, things where you can't get traction. Olympus, they become very, very gnarly. And it's something that these athletes I know are thinking about in the back of their minds.
Depending on how sloppy this course gets and how sloppy these athletes get, you may find issues with the Z-wall because there might be mud not just on the footholds, but also on the handholds as well. And if that happens, we can flash back to Carolina 2012, 2013 and talk about how sloppy it was, where we've seen races where the top 20 men can't complete an obstacle because it gets that muddy. So when mud is a factor, everything goes out the window in terms of expectations. There's a shot of half-dressed Robert Killian getting ready for his big day. And Robert, I think, has said that this is a really nice course for him because he likes to be able to move with speed. He loves to throw down hard tempo early on the field and blow it open. But at the same time, you have other athletes that are less into the mountains than he is, that are more ideally suited for a flatter course. You saw Mike Ferguson over his shoulder. He's one of those guys that I'm talking about. Mike Ferguson, Mark Batris, some of the guys that Glenn Race, these guys typically sit into like the 5 to 8 range when they finish these races. You're going to see them be up there with the front lead pack deep into this race.
Yeah, I think so.
The men's field, I really have a hard time predicting how this race is going to play out because this is a course where literally any of the top 10 guys could actually win the day.
Yeah. I agree. It's one of those that it's a complete, we go to mountains, it's easier for us to predict, but you add in the elements, you add in the weather. And this is one of those, I think last year we saw some surprises too come out of this course on both the men's and the women's side. And so I'm definitely expecting that this go around. People
are not talking about Ryan Woods enough. Like he still feels like he has such a chip on his shoulder right now. He feels
that is a good way to operate, actually. I fully agree in that.
I'm a believer in running angry and running and heavily motivated. And you see all these guys are rushing now to get ready to get to the start line on time. But Ryan Woods not only has had to deal with controversy in this past year, but also he still feels like people believe his win in San Jose last week, which was dominant, was a fluke. And so he is still running with the mindset of, I need to show everybody that I am the guy. And I think when we watched him at the end of last year, we saw that there was a change in him. There was a new version of Ryan Woods where he was much calmer under the pressure of the obstacles near the end when things were costing him earlier on. And when he's on, he's as dominant as anybody in the world. And just because this course doesn't have mountains doesn't mean he won't run well. This is a guy that formerly was a sub 14 5K runner. So he can do it all.
He is the prime example of a runner who came in, a trail runner who came into OCR and, really struggled because he would beat everyone running, but then would struggle with the obstacles. and the mistakes would cost him. We've seen him over this past year or two finally nail the obstacles, and you see how it becomes such a dominant threat. And also, I think that's for anyone out there that's looking to get into this sport. You're not going to come into it and be successful overnight for the most part. There's going to be a learning curve, and you have to stick through that. I think that's so key.
And what you can see on the screen right now is Ryan Kent, who finished second in San Jose in the last race of the championship series. And to the left, who just crossed out of the screen, Kirk Dewindt, known for his role on The Bachelor, but also known as one of the best racers out here in this field. He's very well-rounded. This is a good course for him as well.
And Ian Hosek as well, who's standing there getting ready.
And Ian Hosek, who finished sixth in San Jose. And it's important to note that he had an ankle problem that occurred during that race, and yet he managed he was not able to run the downhills well and still managed to pull a sixth-place finish, and that ankle apparently is all healed up. No downhills give him a problem. He said the flats and the uphills were fine. So he thinks that he should have been on the podium in San Jose. That's where his fitness is right now. So he's not the type of person that runs his mouth about that if he doesn't really truly feel that he is at that level. So expect him to be strong today. And then there he is, Ryan Atkins, first appearance of the year.
Yeah, we're all excited to see him. He's giving a little smile at the camera there. Always having fun.
So coming down from 18,000 feet altitude. And what is our altitude here?
Like 0.
Yeah, sea level. We're at sea level. So a little bit of an advantage. And there's his wife, Lindsay Webster. So one of the heavy favorites for the females today. And if we had to say, okay, here are our top 5 in order for the females.
Oof. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not going to bet against Alyssa on this course. I think this is Alyssa's course. And I think for her too, I think she's in a position right now where she's hungry. She had a fantastic season last year. She finished 4th in San Jose this year. I know she raced a few earlier races this year too that I don't think she got clipped by Leanne in Las Vegas, for instance.
Yes.
So I think she's in a position right now where she's hungry and she's like, I need to reestablish dominance at the top of this, and this is my course.
Yes. So you could definitely see her as a major factor today. I think as her first race back as defending champ, I think it's hard to vote against Lindsay Webster, although this is probably the perfect storm for her to be upset.
I think there's a lot of nerves. She admitted last year at this race in Seattle, she was super nervous because she was not the defending Spartan world champion, but was the defending national series champion. And she felt like she had this target on her back, and
she still does.
She's always going to. You're not going to get rid of it. Sorry,
you've dealt with that for years.
I know.
So we have our men's call over happening right now.
There's Woodsy.
There's Ryan Woods. He's the man who won the last race in the U.S. National Series and their current point series leader. So Ryan Woods, as we mentioned again, 1355K on the U.S. men's national mountain running team, and an all-around talent. Now very strong in upper body. He told me he's put a huge deadlift regimen into his training. And that has helped his heavy carries dramatically.
I think so. It helps your grip as well, because people underestimate how important those are for grip strength.
Oh, they're huge. They're huge. But for him, as he said, his lower back was just weak, and he was having trouble with a lot of the heavy carries. And now all of a sudden, he's good to go on these heavy carries, and he sent me his splits from all his heavy carries in the race. He wanted to make a point of
he had the Strava course record.
Let everyone know he had the fastest sandbag carry in San Jose, and that was a nasty, steep, long sandbag carry.
Yeah,
and he ran. It was at the top of the biggest climb of the race. Ran to the top where a lot of guys were power hiking. Got to the bag, finished to the rest of the climb with the bag. So it was about a 10-minute run uphill until that bag, and then didn't slow at all on the sandbag carry. He's ready to go. Bucket carry and sandbag carry are not going to be a big enough advantage anymore for Ryan Atkins to haul him back. He's going to have to be able to run with him too.
And these are a bit shorter. I think as Steve Hammond, as we spoke to him yesterday, said that these are not super long, super gnarly bucket carries nor sandbag carries. And so I think we're not going to look at those as going to be the deciding factor that is going to slow somebody down here. I think here what we're going to be looking at are really proficiency on the obstacles, not making mistakes when it's wet. Though it seems to be drying out right now. Probably not enough, but everything is still wet. But we're not having this steady, heavy rain right now at this point.
And I believe we have a few more of the men's callovers happening over at the start line right now. We'll get our eyes on that as quickly as we can. what we can tell you is there is depth in this men's field. And you can see up at the start line, that's Robert Killian and Mark Batres. Batres being probably the fastest pure runner in this field, a 2:19 marathoner. There's Ryan Kempson. He won in Miami in the sprint and then had a pretty strong showing in San Jose as well. So expect him to be a big factor. A few other names. You see Glenn Race right there. Glenn Race, one of the most consistent racers in the last 2 years in these national series events. He's only had one bad race.
Yeah, he shows up. He shows up, and performs at a consistent level.
Other faces, another face in the crowd that I believe you're going to see today, I haven't spotted him yet, is Brian Gawicki. And if Gawicki is here, he beat Ryan Woods in Charlotte just this past weekend in the sprint. Now, Woods failed a couple obstacles, which is not like him, but Gawicki has the wheels and the ability and the speed to really run with these guys on this course. He finished in the top 4 in Asheville last year.
Yeah, I was going to say Asheville, I think last year was really where he kind of put himself on the map as somebody, as a force to be reckoned with.
A major factor. And then, you always have dark horses. You never know where they're going to come from. Between Vijay Jones, by the way, we haven't even mentioned his name yet, the young buck.
The young buck.
And I believe John Penland beat him on day 2 in San Jose. And Penland is also 18 years old.
And he's out here today?
I think that's him right there.
All
in
right.
the mudgear shirt.
All right.
So what you have is a young contingent. We were hoping to see this emergence of young athletes on the female side.
Yes.
But we're seeing this on the men's side for sure. Teenagers that are incredibly talented, that are bursting onto the scene and are spending their teen years running obstacle races rather than running cross country or track or all these other things.
It's brilliant. I'm encouraging, hey, if you're a cross country coach out there and you want to get your students involved in Spartan racing, please do it.
That's Aaron Newell on the left in
right.
the green yellow shirt.
Yep.
His ability to run on flat ground should be a major factor today to keep him in it. He's not failing a ton of obstacles. I mean, you saw his strength in San Jose with that 5th place finish in a field that honestly went probably 12 or 13 guys deep with guys who could have been on a podium.
So I know you say you can't really predict who you think is going to take it today, but tell me who do you predict is going to take it today?
Okay, I think this is a Robert Killian day and a Ryan Woods day. And I think you're going to see if one of them doesn't make a mistake, they're going to win. In my opinion, I think Woods is the fastest pure runner out there for this course besides Batres, but he seems to have a little bit more that we call it that binding agent, like that really brings it all together. Batres always has some kind of flaw in his race. And we're going to do the national anthem real quick. National Series race number 2, Spartan National Series. This is going to be a good event. And we were talking about predictions. And if we have to talk about men's predictions, I'm saying 1-2, Killian Woods, Atkins at 3, Ryan Kent 4, and Angel Quintero at 5. But really anything can happen.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you for Killian for number 1. I think this is a great race for Killian. I'm going to put Ken up there, though. I think Ken could nab a podium today.
He is on fire right now. And, I mean, if you exclude World Championships and you just have his West Virginia result from last year, which is going to be our national or North American Championship race this year, and what he did last week, I mean, he's finished second in some of the deepest fields we've ever seen, 2 of these big events in a row. Like, I mean, it's hard to bet against that. He's clearly showing he is one of the class athletes of this field. But again, it's just like there's such congestion in the men's field. Like it's such a cluster from it used to be there was 5 dominant athletes,
Yeah.
and the gap is closing. And then the tail end of that group is expanding, and now it's like, okay, you're watching 10 guys flip-flop amongst each other instead of what used to be 3 or 4.
And that's what we need for the sport. You
Yeah.
know, that's what makes it exciting. I mean, the new faces coming in, and really that it's never a given whose race it's going to be.
We could play this game. I could just shout out a name, and you just name a position where you think they're going to finish. All right, here we go.
All right.
Vijay Jones.
8th.
Okay. Mark Batres.
5th.
Aaron Newell.
7th.
Wow.
I'm gonna run out of
It's super bold.
I know.
Ian Hosek.
Ooh. See, now I don't want to. 9th. Did
Yeah,
I say 9th?
No. So here's the thing.
It's tough. Yeah.
It's very difficult because so many of these athletes are so close to each other in terms of pure skill and where they are in their training cycles right now. And that's another thing that we haven't touched on that much. And that is that these athletes are going to have another 6 months to really tune in their bodies and get them where they want to be. So some of them are still in their first phase of training for the season where they're just working on their base work.
Right.
Others, like Ryan Kent, have been focused on pure strength right now.
Yeah.
And he's going to incorporate his running moving forward. As you can see, Ryan Atkins, he's excited.
Yeah.
That's Aaron Newell.
And you see Robert Colbert there, the official, giving the rules. So Colbert has some new threads this year. No more Bumblebee.
Bumblebee. There's Kirk Dewindt. I think he's going to be very strong today, but watch
seems faster than probably he's comfortable with.
Yeah, we'll see. Mike Ferguson last year was in 3rd place about 2/3 of the way through this course and then failed an obstacle. So look for Mike Ferguson to actually be up there early on. We were saying we didn't even realize who it was. Who's this dark horse athlete running here? But he was running right with Robert Killian in the lead at that moment, within a few seconds of him.
And we have a little bit different course setup than last year too. Last year we went straight about a mile and then into the river. The river is actually flooded this year, so we're not going to be going through that river. But so they're kind of starting the opposite direction, and pretty early on they get into this gnarly kind of over, under, through. Surprisingly, is gnarly. There is barbed wire in between the different
that's gross
ones. Yeah, I know, right?
And but that for someone who's a decent runner may actually be a good blessing, as the runners are off. And wow, they are kicking quick out of the gates. So when you have an obstacle like that series over, under, through, usually you come out of that and it actually can fatigue you a little bit more. But if you have a little bit of crawling in between or rolling, sometimes you actually have a moment to catch your breath, and then you actually feel recovered and ready to run.
Right.
As we come up this opening climb right out of the gates. And so it's this soft, wet, soggy grass and other terrain. Right from the jump, you can see Ian Hosek setting up there, putting down a pace. You have a few of your top guys just kind of clustered.
Yeah. And look, as we said, nobody wins the race in the first mile. So it's one of those things where I think everyone's going to try and play off each other, play off the pace. You're not going for – you see Ryan Atkins there.
And we have one of our adaptive athletes as well who started his way up the climb. And it's unbelievable.
Yeah. I was going to say, I was like, you think a Spartan race is hard. Man, do it this way.
Try it on your hands. So – I think all day long we're going to continue to check in here and see how this progress goes. But that is nobody's allowed to complain anymore.
Yeah. What's your excuse?
Yeah. So right now you have Ryan Atkins and Ian Hosek making their way over the overwalls. A few other athletes with them. I think that's Ryan Kent. And that was, Ryan Kent right there.
Yeah, Ryan Kent.
In the mud gear shirt. Is that mud gear?
Yeah, it's a mud gear shirt. And
so looking at this terrain, you can see that the pace is just not going to be as high as a lot of these guys want. And right now, that's Hunter Russell right there, settled in.
With Ryan Woods alongside. Yeah.
I'm telling you, he is going to have a field day today with this flat terrain.
But as you can see, they're running flat right now, but they don't. Everyone's like at home. It's probably like they look like they're trotting, and I'm like, well, have you looked at the puddles on the ground?
They're picking. One of the things is you don't need to sprain an ankle in the first mile on this course just because you're running on this unstable terrain. But it's not quick. And if you think about what running is, it's one, a controlled fall, but two, it's powering off the ground and projecting yourself forward. But if the ground is this squishy, it's not projecting energy back at you.
Yeah, you're losing a lot of your power through that.
So you're running through just smush and slosh and mess.
Those are the technical terms.
Yes.
For those at home.
You're running through smush. And there's Miriam right there, just ran by us here in our little tent where we're dry but not warm. And and the athletes here, okay, so now you can see the depth of the field and how spread out it is already, maybe only a half mile into this race.
Exactly. And also what's going to happen too is, so these men are now, I mean, they're picking up all this mud. The women that are going to come start shortly, this ground is only going to get worse and worse the more people that run over it. And so it's going to get sloppier later in the day, and it's fun.
All right, so the athletes right now are coming over these over-under through, or the overwalls. They have over-under through, they have a barbed wire crawl, and then it'll be sandbag carry.
Yeah.
And don't expect the sandbag carry to shake things up too much today. I think if athletes kind of hold steady, that should be expected in terms of their positions on the course.
And it's a single sandbag carry. It's regular weight, so it's nothing extremely extreme.
Nothing extremely extreme.
Woo! Good words this morning.
There you go, a shot of our finish line where we expect to see some huge names coming through here shortly, but there's literally nowhere dry in this entire area. No. There's nowhere dry to be. We are up to our shins in water ourselves, so not literally.
I don't think we have a right to complain right now, but
obviously both of us would love to be out there on the course as well, and you can see it's yucky. And again, every single step that you take is going to be less efficient than it would be on the road, that it would be on a dry trail. And so the energy expenditure on this course will be higher than the times will yield.
Yes, for sure. Definitely.
So let's talk about, while we have the men out of sight, let's talk about the women's race.
Yeah, I love talking about the women's race.
Because they're coming up next. And when you look at who you have here, you have Rhea Coble.
Yes.
And you have Lindsay Webster. I think those two are going to be slugging it out all year long for the title on this national series. And Rhea obviously has a huge advantage having won the first one with Lindsay not there. So Lindsay's got her work cut out for her.
She does. But she went into that. She goes into the series knowing that. But I think the next courses that are coming up are very much things that she's comfortable with. Though I'm trying to think of a course that Lindsay wouldn't be comfortable with. I can't think of one. Maybe like a mile sprint.
I was going to say that, a mile with heavy lifting.
A mile with like heavy cleans. Yeah, pretty much.
So with Lindsay coming in today, I mean, you've mentioned that you thought Alyssa Hawley is still going to hold serve here on her home court. And then the question is, who's after her?
I'm going to go with Lindsay after her.
Too.
And I actually think it's going to be, I actually am going to give it to Faye over Rhea today. I just think, and it's no offense. Look, Rhea can beat anyone lights out, but I think that she's a little bit in her head about this course right now. It's not her wheelhouse. It's not what she likes. But if she can put that aside, the people that are going to excel today are the ones that are not going to let the conditions get into their head.
And what we watched from her last year with Rhea Coble, she would start races too conservatively. She was too used to ultra running and was holding back early on and was finishing, trying to track people down, still having a ton of energy left. And I think if she runs fearlessly, if she runs aggressively, she can run at this pace that is necessary to win today.
Right.
However, this is definitely not what she's accustomed to. Faye is going to be licking her chops today. She loves this. She loves high speed. She's got an incredibly quick 5K, 10K. This is her type of race. And, you're going to see her coming in contending strong for a podium.
I think so. But like I said, I think that this course is way more mental, and way is just going to be like athletes that are super gritty and, can really handle this kind of stuff. And to me, that just screams Alyssa. We see Rhea there giving a thumbs up to the camera.
Alyssa, well, and especially with the wetness and how many obstacles could be failed today, Alyssa is the most sure-handed of all of the female athletes.
I've never seen her fail an obstacle.
Exactly.
Maybe one.
Her strength is incredible. Now, her strength has diminished in recent years because she was very strength-focused in her training a couple of years ago, and realized that her greatest weakness was her running and shifted the majority of her training focus to that point. And here's a name we haven't mentioned at all today.
Yes, Rose.
Running Rosie. Rose Wetzel, this is her first race back, as she says.
Correct.
Truly back after having their first child. Yeah. And right now you're seeing Ryan Atkins, Ryan Woods, and Ryan Kent. The three Ryans. Now there's a fourth Ryan, not in this pack, but the three Ryans here out in front. Ryan, and Ryan. Which Ryan do you have today?
I'm going to go with Kent today. I'm going to go with the Ryan Kent today. But
now here's what's interesting. That's Ryan. That was Ryan Kempson right there.
There we go.
So there's your 4 men. But with Ryan Woods out in front, Ryan Atkins on him, and Ryan Kent with him, where's Robert Killian?
Unless he's out in front of them.
Unless he's gapped that group.
Right.
So we'll have updates for you guys shortly as they come through. Right now, again, a clustered men's field, and you can see just how many athletes wound together. That looks like Mike Ferguson.
And you can see really, how treacherous that terrain is.
Aaron Newell with a little slip
right.
around the turn. So Lindsay Webster and Rhea Coble next to each other, and there's Miriam Guillaume-Brissett. And again, 3rd place in San Jose.
And then a name that we haven't mentioned, Alex Rodania, Chikorita, who is, she just dropped like a sub 120 half marathon the other day, or a few weeks ago, which is pretty fast.
This course would suit her too if she can stay clean on the obstacles.
Yeah.
So Chikorita's always been a factor, and yet I think the 2-time defending champ on this course, Alyssa Hawley, she looked serious.
Oh, she's always got that game face. Her game face is like unparalleled.
Money. Yeah. So there she is. And where's Faye Stenning?
I'm sure she will be there at some point or another. And
down the hill, you saw a little flip here because now Ryan Atkins has moved into the lead, Kent in 2nd position, and Woods in 3rd. I wouldn't worry about Woods too much. He looks very relaxed right now, but Ryan Atkins, definitely one of the more aggressive downhill runners when it comes to technical terrain.
Both he and his wife, Lindsay, are unparalleled when it comes to their technical downhill running.
And again, you're seeing a little bit of shifting on the field. There's the 4th Ryan, your top 4 men, and then Robert Killian behind it. Yeah. Your top 4 men, all named Ryan, because Ryan Kempson has moved into 4th.
And Vijay Jones there in 6th, and Ian Hosek in 7th, it looks like.
So again, these guys are only separated by like maybe 12 seconds.
Yeah.
All the way back to 8th place. So we just had a spill from our cameraman. But
you think that this is hard running on your own? Imagine running it with a camera. So.
And running it with a camera and running that, trying to keep up with these guys, stay out of their way, and look at them while navigating technical terrain.
Exactly.
It's tricky. So what you've seen is a huge cluster of athletes, and then very, very careful on these downhills, a lot of them right now. And now that it gets flat, they'll open up. We have a barbed wire crawl right here, and right now you have 7 different men in the barbed wire at the same time, if that says anything about the course. It looks like there's a little hairpin turn on this barbed wire, which is always really fun. If you're smart, you take that inside lane, but
exactly.
Those who are less experienced with these races may not realize that you want to be on the edges of the barbed wire for your crawls to stay at the highest point of the wire.
Right. And here we have, as I was saying, the barbed wire with the little over under through action in between. And so it's kind of, but you can see the different techniques, the crawling versus the rolling. I'm a roller, always a roller. And so unless you have things in the way, but I think you're switching it up, and sometimes athletes get dizzy doing the rolling. And so
one trick is fix your eyes on one point every time you come out of your roll. Each roll, look at that point again, and also change the direction, the side that you're rolling toward.
Yep.
So right now you're seeing still a little gap, all 3 Ryans, and then the women's start line here. We have a really talented women's field today, and it's sad that we're going to be missing Nicole Miracle because
it is sad. Yeah.
She would, 1, gobble up this course, 2, really bring it out fast, and she's nursing a little hamstring injury.
She'll be back. She'll be back for Big Bear, I assume, hopefully.
So her series is over, but she could still play spoiler on a lot of these races.
Exactly. And I think that's the other thing is we were talking about athletes and their different training cycles. It's that, if you rate, this is a very long season. And if you're peaking right now, you're kind of screwed,
Did you see how strong Ryan Kempson looked?
Oh, yeah.
There as he came by Ryan Woods. And then there's Mark Batres, and we talked about his presence today as Robert Killian now slipping to 6th position.
Yeah, I'm interested to see Killian hanging back a little bit at this point. I'm used to seeing him in that lead pack hanging right there with Atkins. I know one of his things, he never wants to lose sight of Ryan Atkins.
Now, Killian did a lot of damage to his body last year. He ran a lot of races. That included the Ultra Beast right before World's Toughest Mudder, right before the Spartan Ultra in Iceland. And that one really broke him. He finished 6th, I believe, or 5th, but it really shattered him. And he took about 6 weeks off his training and got back into it and feels fast. He says, keeps telling me he's very confident in where he is with his fitness and his training, but I still think there's some residual effect, and we saw that in San Jose, and we're seeing it here.
Yeah, that's a lot of racing under your belt, a lot of racing. And it does. It cumulatively takes its toll. Even if you feel fine physically, it's one of those things that your adrenals and everything like that is going to take a while to recover from. But I think it's great. He realizes now, like, it's still early on in the season. He has plenty of time before the World Championships. And let's be honest, like, that's where all the marbles are.
For him, as a guy that's never missed the podium at World Championships, that's the most important thing. And It's 100% correct. But he still has his eyes on winning all these different series. I mean, when he comes into a season and you look at his expectations and what his goals are, it's like win the Stadium Series, win the National Series, win World Championships, go out and win the Ultra.
I think in essence, his motto is win.
Win everything. I think that's one of those FOMO guys right there. We talk about FOMO. And he has this fear of missing out on any of these series. He wants to put his name at the top of every single list.
Yeah. So I'm super stoked to watch this race unfold today, and I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Rose, hometown girl as well from around near Seattle. And Rose and I obviously go way back. And I'm stoked to see her out on the starting line again. And really, knowing, I can't speak to what it's like to come back from childbirth, but I'm excited to see her back out there.
So with all these women lined up right now, we have other women that are outside the top 5 that are still major contenders, and Leanne Wastany's one, Alex Walker's another.
Yes.
And Alex is one of those women that's trying to break into that lead group, and you've raced against her firsthand, and she's been emerging in the last year. Yeah,
Alex is an her obstacle proficiency, I would put her up there with Alyssa in terms of her obstacle proficiency. Wow. And she trains hard. And you know what she does? And she does this with Yancey through Yancey Camp, is that she trains purposely on wet stuff. And so, like, it's an idea of, like, putting your hands in ice water and then doing obstacles, like, to try and mimic race day effects.
And here you are back at the men's sandbag carry, and it's Ryan Kent followed by Ryan Atkins, and both of these guys are going to crush this carry because they're two of the stronger athletes in this field.
Yeah.
These Ryan Woods and Ryan Kempson.
Wet sandbags, too, mind you.
So right here, again, they're running, they're moving, but Ryan Atkins, one of the best heavy carry athletes in the field, quickly moving past Ryan Kent, wasting no time getting out in front of him.
Yeah. Just two very strong athletes, and these, we've reached a point where these carries aren't going to be a problem for anyone anymore. It's just about how much faster can you do them.
So 4 men have clearly separated from the field. I mean, It's not a big gap, but 4 men that are really duking it out for the podium, for 3 podium spots. And here's your women's start. And again, I still think Rhea Copel is going to take this one out quick. We're going to be touching base with Steve Hammond momentarily just to go and catch up on his thoughts on where this race is playing out. But right now, you can see the women's start, and out of the gates, it is not Rhea, it is not Faye, and it's not Lindsay who's setting the tone.
And so sometimes you just got to let the rabbits go out, and then
let the field destroy itself.
Exactly. Watch them blow up, and then pick off the carnage.
All right, so we've got Steve Hammond out there on the field right now. Steve, tell us about the breakdown. What's happening?
Well, here we go. All the men are compiling in for the sandbags right now. And although it's not the longest loop, I think Ryan Atkins is absolutely gunning it at the start. He's just gone around the first loop. He's in the lead, followed by Ryan Kent. And this is where those 4 Ryans are actually separating themselves from the other part of the field. In 5th and 6th, I just saw was Mark Batras and Robert Killian, and they are they're not too far behind, but they are really wanting to put on the pressure. I think we're going to find these 4, there's not going to be much separation because there's not much to separate on this course. You got to keep with them, and especially in the flatter areas, you got to be super obstacle efficient to try and get ahead. And this is where we're going to see the athletes coming back up just behind me now, and we'll see who puts the sandbags down first. But again, we're only 2 miles in, so there's a lot of the race left to go. It's fast-paced out here. Back to you guys.
Things. First of all, we saw that Ryan Woods moved back in the 3rd position and was gaining on everybody on that carry.
On that uphill,
Very interesting. Kempson's still holding strong. The other thing that I want to point out is in this women's race right here, Miriam Bassett setting the – oh, sorry, that was Faye Stenning setting the pace early.
Yeah.
Faye and Rhea. And then Lindsay Webster's back just stalking behind. But I think today you're going to see these two try and dictate the race early. Faye's had her best success against Lindsay when she's gotten away from her early and forced Lindsay to push hard in the second half of a race.
Yep. And I think that all of these women, they have the fire right now. They know that this is a race to make a statement that says, I'm here. You're going to have to contend with me this year.
So I think that was Lee Wastany who just went by, and Alyssa Hawley's sitting a little further back, probably 5th, 6th position.
Yeah, but she generally, Alyssa is one of those people that sits back and then watches the carnage, and once the obstacles pick up, she works through it pretty well.
Well, you look at it from different ways. Some people want to control the entire pace of the race, and there's Ryan Atkins looking very smooth with Kenton Woods on him.
Does he ever breathe hard? I mean, have you ever seen him looking like he's working hard?
He's always in zone 3. He's just chilling.
In zone 3.
But I think when you look at strategy-wise, you can try and dominate and control the pace as Ryan Woods now moves up to the lead. Or you could sit back, let the race happen, but just focus on nobody except running your best race. And when people that do that, that is when you see they run their fastest times. And sometimes you can end up beating somebody that maybe you shouldn't have.
Yeah. And it's really something as an athlete, you kind of have to evolve into that space. And I think that you see this ebb and flow of you come out really strong in the rookie season. People do really well. There's kind of always like this sophomore slump kind of thing. And then like third season in, people really start to get the hang of it. And that looks really miserable right now.
Yeah, it does. It does look cold, but at the same time, how fun is it to watch these 3 guys just keep changing leads?
Oh, I know.
Well, I mean, we have a 3-headed monster of Ryans.
I know. Where's the 4th?
Where's the 4th Ryan?
Right. There he is.
Oh, yeah. He's still not out of it.
No.
I had the privilege of racing with Ryan Kempson in Miami, and we kind of slugged it out head to head for a little while, and he snuck away from me. His running ability right now is off the charts. His pure speed and ability to sustain that tempo throughout is higher than I've ever seen it. And he said this is the first year in his training that he's actually been able to put in mileage and stay healthy. So
it's key.
So
really key.
He's been doing this previously his whole career on like 15, 20 miles a week of training. And now he's actually running mileage.
Wow.
So again, Ryan Woods hits the flat and just starts pulling away.
Yep. Those split shorts flying in the wind.
Oh, yeah. You could tell he's a traditionalist runner right there.
I love it. There we got the eyes on our women. We have, looks like Rhea is in the lead right now.
She found a hill. She's going to run it fast. So Rhea climbing and Faye on her.
Yeah. I mean, this is still very early on. They haven't really hit any obstacles yet, but I think Faye is in. If you compare the two styles, Rhea always looks super effortless. She is like the zone 3 runner, and then Faye looks like she works at zone 5 like every single moment of her life.
Faye is full on hammer time.
Yeah.
Like when she is arm drive to power the legs like nobody I've ever seen. And Rhea is the exact opposite. And it's gliders versus gazelles. We talk about running technique. Are you a glider that just skips lightly along the ground like Rhea does, or are you a gazelle that's powering off the ground with every step? Well, how does that work? Just hang your arms. You hang limp wrists, fingers down towards the floor. You kind of do. Relaxed wrists. And but look how fast Ryan Woods is. And I mean, he opened up a 10-second gap on those guys almost instantaneously.
Yeah, well, he knows his strengths, and I think that really, if I were him in this position, I'd be like, okay, look, these guys aren't going to fail obstacles. I have a higher likelihood of failing obstacles than Atkins, so I'm going to start building a cushion where I can. He's
building one before every obstacle, it appears, as well,
and
then he seems to be losing that because Ryan Kent as well as Ryan Atkins are two of the most obstacle proficient athletes in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly Ryan's strength on an obstacle like this is going to help him surpass Woods on a heavy movement like this. This is where Kempson might lose some ground actually, because he's strong for his size, but being the lightest of those 4 men, by far the lightest of those 4 men, I've seen him struggle on this obstacle. We were racing in a stadium race a couple of years back in Citizens Bank Park, and I don't even know if he failed the obstacle, the hoist, or just was very slow to it, but I never saw him again. He's one of those guys where he needs to get the heavy stuff out of the way.
Speaking of game changer, here we have it.
Spear throw right here. And I'm really hoping for 3 hits.
3 hits.
You got one hit from Ryan Woods. And I like that he threw quickly. These other two are still setting up. He's about to stretch away a lot. I mean,
he's going to use that because and so here we get to the tire, which is on gravel.
And the tire flip for Ryan Kent, this is one of his best obstacles.
Exactly.
He's so good at getting under that tire. We've seen Woods mess with the tire for a minute before and fail to get it up and then have to do burpees. And it looks like he's taking them right now.
He's realized he's not going to get it up today.
Wow. And Ryan Kent just destroyed that tire flip back and forth. Expect that to be such a major factor as Atkins finishes his as well. And now you're looking at men's 1 and 2, Ryan Kent, Ryan Atkins together, essentially. Woods doing burpees in that gravel pit, that is not good news for him today.
Not good news for him, but if there's anyone that can recover from it and who we've seen recover from it, it is Ryan Woods. I think he at that point he realized he wasn't going to get that tire up and over, and there's water in them. I imagine they're well over 400 pounds right now.
They are, and what you're going to see from these two men, because we know this, whenever we've been racing neck and neck with somebody, and all of a sudden we don't have or we have that opportunity to stretch away because they fail an obstacle, you gun it. I mean, you hammer your fastest next 2 minutes possible.
Exactly. So we have Ryan Kent, who is leading number 1, Ryan Atkins behind him, and we assume Ryan Wood's still in third, but it could be Kempson.
I'm worried about Kempson on that tire flip. So we haven't seen if Kempson finished his tire flip or not. If he completed his tire flip, he's in third. If he did not, Ryan Woods would potentially still be in third, but it's possible now that you're going to see Robert Killian or Vijay Jones or Mark Batris move up into that third position.
Right.
Interesting. Ryan Atkins taking water this early in a flat course. I didn't expect that. Not that it says anything, but I just, I'm not used to him needing it or wanting it this early in a race. And again, remember, he has not been doing a lot of running training. He's been getting exercise, but it's not been sports specific. And here's Rhea Coble.
Rhea Coble, who is on a mission and looks like she is by herself. Oh, no, wait. We've got the chase pack. And let me tell you, chasing Rhea is not a comfortable position to be in because she can lay it down. Her fitness right now is just unreal. I mean, unreal. And the gains that she has made. And I just, I have no idea where her top end is going to take her, but it's quite impressive.
As you can see, Ryan Kent first to the rope climb. And, we did say he's going to be a big factor today. He's been running out of his mind lately. And doing it on less mileage than he ever does is probably one of the most surprising things. Is he's got about a 10-second cushion on Ryan Atkins right now.
And Ryan Kent is one of those athletes who, as we've talked about, the evolution of an athlete, he came on the scene, was really strong, won a lot of races, kind of went through, I don't want to say a slump, but went through some questioning.
Growing pains.
Some growing pains. And it's one of those things where you've now seen him emerge the other side. He's regained his confidence. I think his race in West Virginia last year was really critical in that, and he's kind of settled into a groove, and I'm so excited to see that.
I mean, he's a guy that, for his size, is surprisingly good at that half marathon to marathon distance, and was running when he was running his best. It was when he was focusing on that, and then also a lot of strength.
Yeah,
and he's a guy who's just living out in Mammoth, just training right now. And that's Miriam Bissett. Staying strong right now. Is she running in third position?
She looks like she is in second following Rhea.
Wow.
So it looks like we have Rhea Coble, then Miriam, and then I assume it's probably Faye back there with them.
So Miriam just made a move into first position, if that's her in the barbed wire right there. So, that's Miriam.
She made a quick move through that barbed wire.
So very aggressive move as they take the hairpin turn here.
And she's smart, cutting that inside angle there.
And who do we have in the corner?
Looks like Faye over there.
Yeah, Faye Stenning, keeping things tight. So again, just like we had a 3-headed monster battle for the podium from the 3 Ryans early on at this point in the race, you're seeing the exact same thing in the women's field. And I'm mostly really surprised at Miriam Bissett and her ability to throw down a tempo and stay with these two.
Well, she's fast, but I'm really impressed at her movement through that barbed wire. She just gapped Rhea by about 10 seconds there.
She looks very fluid. And I would say that Rhea tends to be a bit conservative in the barbed wire.
Okay.
But Again, I'd say Faye Stenning tends to be more aggressive.
Yes.
But yet, here's Miriam outpacing both of them.
Yeah.
And the face that we have not seen since the start is Lindsay Webster.
Lindsay Webster or Alyssa Hawley. But like I said, they may be sitting back a little bit. And it is, as far as Lindsay, as we say, it is a different kind of fitness than the fitness that they have been doing up in Nepal. And you may be working that zone 1 and zone 2 for days and days on end. But when you have to come into a race like this and work your top end speed, that's foreign sometimes.
Yeah, it can be.
It will come back quickly, but it can take a little bit of time.
And now right up a hill. So there's some grit in this section of the course right here. And Miriam Bissett setting out in her lead position right now. And that's Ryan Kent with about 60 yards on Ryan Atkins. And it's holding steady. He's running strong.
He's running strong. And, this is a really good course for him. And I think he's feeling very confident right now, but we have, a lot of what quote unquote could be failure obstacles coming up soon.
And Ryan Kent is one of those guys that so rarely fails an obstacle. Just
right.
He's got such great grip strength and great balance. I mean, he spends a lot of his free time like slacklining and doing those little things that really help with your muscle stability in a lot of these obstacles. And just a very well-rounded athlete as a whole. Not a lot of weaknesses in his game.
Exactly. And I think that's what you have to, you see the best obstacle racers in the world. That's what they are. They're well-rounded. You're kind of a jack of all trades athlete. And I think just really kind of living that every single day.
So out here to field, you can see how flat a lot of this course is right now. Not a huge amount of mountains as they're approaching, looks like a vertical cargo net right there. They're going to come back by that later. Right now, Ryan Kent looking very strong. And again, this flat and looks like relatively dry section of the course is a huge section for Ryan Woods to try and get back into this.
I was like, we have Kent and Atkins up front now, but I'm wondering how much of that gap that Ryan Woods has closed after doing those burpees.
Depends how long it took him to do the burpees and how much of a toll those burpees took on him.
Yeah.
I guess when you're at a very high level in this sport, you don't necessarily practice a lot of burpees because you don't anticipate doing a lot of burpees. And when you get them, they can be a shock to the system.
I would, though, if you're at a very high level in this sport, if you're not doing sets of burpees at least a few times a week, you should be, because you never know. Like you need to bang out those. There's Isaiah Vidal who could do 30 burpees in like a minute.
Under a minute.
I mean, and it's ridiculous.
All right, so right now, that's
we're
Z-Wall.
the Z-Walls.
Z-Wall. Okay, this
we got
is
the cutout Z-Walls.
Yeah, so there's a couple things here. One is that Hopi Call fell on this obstacle last year.
Yes.
And it really shook up the race. And we were saying, where is he? Where is he? We didn't have eyes on it at the time. The other thing is the cutout here. If you are to step on that inner portion of the cutout, that is an immediate obstacle failure. And sometimes rounding a corner, athletes don't see that they step on it.
Yep.
Or they don't realize. So that was Ryan Kent, make his way through very smoothly. And here's Atkins. Again, one of his grip strength is out of control. That pinch grip that he's using right there is some of the best in the game.
Oh, he could probably do the Z-Wall just with his hands alone.
Yeah, no feet. No feet necessary.
But yeah, I mean, they actually look pretty tacky and pretty dry. But that cutout can kind of throw you off if you're not used to it.
All right, so again, floating through. I mean, they're probably right here. They're probably hitting 6-minute pace. They're moving very smooth, but they're covering ground. And this is no longer that soft, muddy, nasty stuff. This they can actually get some pace on.
Yeah, it looks like we got some eyes on the ladies now. That looks like an unmistakable Faye type of stride going on. Totally
a Faye. That arm drive, and now that arm flail.
That's actually one of the most efficient ways to run downhill.
Yeah,
so
just let it fall.
Let it fall.
And that's Miriam up in front of her. Miriam Bissett sitting in first. Faye Stenning running in second position behind her.
Yeah, it looks like she overtook Rhea.
Yeah, and I think it happened in all those obstacles right there. There was a cluster. It included the rolling mud pits over there. And now, look at that slop.
Yeah. So if you're just tuning in right now, it looks like we have Ryan Kent is in the lead for the men, followed by Ryan Atkins.
And then we're waiting on third.
We assume it's probably either Ryan Woods or Ryan Kempson. We've got a lot of Ryans.
Wow, it's amazing how that worked out today in particular. Other faces that you will see settled in behind those guys, last time we checked, was Mark Batres was the 5th position, Robert Killian in 6th, Vijay Jones in 7th.
Yes.
So you've got a lot of different guys in that mix that could end up taking that 3rd podium spot, especially if Ryan Kempson failed that tire, and we don't know.
And so here we have eyes on the women there at the sandbag carry.
Look at her hauling, Miriam Bassett,
who is in first right now, being hunted by face standing. No one wants to be hunted by face standing. I believe that Rhea Coble has dropped back to 3rd. Rhea took it out hard, but Miriam passed her in the barbed wire, and we haven't had eyes on her since. So she may be trailing back a bit behind that. And it looks, after that, we haven't seen Lindsay or Alyssa at this point.
All right, so with Miriam Bassett running very strong right now, does this change the way, halfway through this course, not even, does this change the way you look at her for this season?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I always knew Miriam was strong. I remember running with her in Tahoe 2 years in a row and just watching her hammer those climbs. Zuzana level climbing, if not greater. And, but her obstacle proficiency wasn't there. And so now I hear that where she's living, she has an entire setup and has really practiced those and hammered those, and we're seeing a different kind of athlete.
Yeah, and her grip right now in this bag is very unique. As you can see, well, the women's field has closed because that's Faye and Rhea right on her.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And if Alyssa Hawley's going to make a move, she needs to do it in sections like this right here. We haven't seen her in a while, and that we need to see Alyssa claw her way back in on some of these carries if she's going to have a shot at this thing.
Yeah, the carries, but like we said, also the obstacle failure, the grip strength is that Alyssa could be sitting there in 5th, 6th place, just a few yards behind. But any failed obstacle, you're going to look at failed obstacle is probably about 2 minutes of loss. So at that point, she can easily make the move. So we just got word that actually on the men's side, looks like Mark Batres missed his spear. So he probably dropped back from 5th, back with that pack of men back into the mix.
And this is what we talk about with Mark. Like, Mark has this ability, and he just, there's something that goes wrong in every race right now. And that, Mark, this is his 3rd year in the sport. This should be the year that he really emerges and kind of cleans up some of these issues. But it again, it's such a difficult sport to perform perfectly at such a high level, which is why, you look at a Ryan Atkins and you're in awe that he is so consistent. A bad race for him is 4th place.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's just so consistently strong and up there, and he's not the fastest guy in the field. He just is. He races clean and he races smart and he trains his butt off. I mean, he's got some physical gifts that are pretty phenomenal. As you see, top ladies, 1, 2, 3,
all together,
and within 5 seconds of each other. Miriam Bassett, Faye standing in 2nd, Rhea Coble in 3rd, and I still like Rhea's position right now. I know you said she does not enjoy this kind of tempo and pace, but I do think that she just doesn't fatigue.
Yeah,
and her open it up in the second half.
I was going to say we have this portion for them coming up right now that is flat and fast and drier. And so if anyone is going to open up right now, they need to and really, really drop some time in between them. Yeah.
You've seen a huge strength training addition to Rhea Coble's training, and I think that she's no longer going to lose time in some of these sections as we come into this little gauntlet up ahead. Actually, I'm still, even with all the new obstacle training she's been doing, most concerned about Miriam as we come into some of these, including the hoist.
Right. And the hoist is one of those obstacles that for smaller women, smaller men, is just because it's relative to your body weight. And so it's just going to be just that more difficult because you have to pull a greater mass of your body weight. These bags are wet. It's been raining nonstop. And so, but we have Faye, for instance, failed the hoist in Tahoe.
Yes. And that was devastating for her because that cost her podium spot.
It did.
That was where Alyssa snuck in there.
Yeah.
But we got to step back and say for a minute, do you guys remember that Alyssa Hawley finished 3rd at World Championships in Tahoe? That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and again, it just goes to show you put one of those obstacles right at the end and anything can happen. People's arms start to fail them. Their legs start to fail them. But I think you just saw a pass right here that was Rhea Coble moving into first place briefly, although she may lose it running tentatively in the rolling mud.
She's there
There's
with
Faye.
Faye and Miriam,
So we had a total flip right there. You just went Faye from third to first, Faye from second to first, Rhea from third to first, back to second, and now Miriam sitting in third, but essentially they're all together.
They're all together. At this point in the race, 2 seconds here and there,
it doesn't mean anything.
Like a dismount.
What's exciting about it is we saw that exact same kind of flip-flopping right at this exact moment in the men's field.
But we have the spear coming up for women, which historically has done a lot of position changes for women over and over and over again. I can speak well to that. So
you can see these women are going to take their time. Rhea is wearing gloves right now. So the question is, are they Blake mitts?
They're Blake mitts. So she'll peel them back.
Yeah, she'll peel them back. She'll get a good throw. She had them. We thought last race, she's already doing it. We thought last race she had gotten rid of them. She'd actually stuffed them down her sports bra. So
yeah,
at the end of the race,
she's smart enough to know that you don't drop things on course because that is an instant DQ.
Look at that! Did you see that stride? Right there from
she's
her?
got a beautiful stride.
Perfect. It's perfect.
Beautiful stride.
And so as Rhea makes her way towards what we believe is the spear throw next, this is a huge game changer.
We got men now on the monkey bar. So the men, they just came through another barbed wire. There seems to be endless barbed wire.
There's
on
a
this
ton,
course.
and Steve Hammond mentioned that to us. He said, "You know what they told me I couldn't limit, or I could do unlimited.
Unlimited
barbed
wire.
wire." So a lot of it, and it's nice. You know, when it's muddy and it's nasty, it's kind of nice to barbed wire crawl. It's bad when it's like dry, hard.
Oh yeah,
earth.
rocky.
Yeah, rocky, just banging up your knees and your hips. And Ken is out there all alone, and this. I'm not surprised he's up there. I'm surprised it's this much of a gap. That's what I'm surprised by. I thought there would be people challenging him right now. And Atkins is there, but he just doesn't seem to have the legs that he usually does.
Yeah, you know, he's not looking as comfortable as he normally does. Oh, and there we got Woodsy.
Wow. So the fact that Ryan Woods has clawed to within maybe 30 seconds of Ryan Kent is bad news for Kent and good news for Woods, but Woods has got to be consistent on finishing his obstacles today.
Yeah, and you know, he looked clean there through that.
That's Vijay.
And then we got Vijay Jones, the young buck.
So Vijay is what, 18 or 19 now?
I think he's 19 now.
My gosh, he's
gotten old.
Okay, so Vijay is very good on flatter courses. So we should have predicted that he would have been a factor in this. He was on a stretch of like 4 or 5 races where he won on a lot of relatively flat courses where he was really dominant, then comes back out to the National Series, and San Jose had this kick in the teeth for the first mile and a half, 2 miles of that course that was all uphill. We've got Steve Hammond out there on the course right now with eyes on. Steve, give us an update.
Wow, what an amazing women's race we've got all 4 women right now just behind me. They are all on her course. We've got Miriam Brissett, we've got Rhea Coble, we've got Lindsay Webster, and we've got Faye Stennon. They're all neck and neck. Lindsay's just chosen a different bag, and she's probably dropped to 4th. But wow, this is going to be an incredibly tight and very exciting race. But they've got the game changer coming up right next, and that is Spearman. Back to you guys, and we'll see what's going to happen. Very exciting.
Well, we have, like Steve mentioned, a 4-woman race now. These are the 4 women that we expected, except where's Alyssa Hawley? That's the only one that I'm missing.
I know. But, you know, she could be right back there. So, but here is where we're going to see changes.
This is the game breaker. And, again, it's like no matter how much you practice this at home, when it's race situation, it's totally different. When it's muddy, it's a little slippery. Your hands are a little numb. You're breathing hard. This is a whole different element.
Exactly. And it's also how long you take to get prepped for this. I've seen people sit here for days and days.
Rose is notorious for that.
Rose notoriously. Okay, looks like Faye hit hers and is off.
Oh, that's good for Faye.
That is very good for Faye. Rhea hit hers and is off.
Yeah, Rhea's got... Rhea's heading to burpees. Rhea is headed to burpees, and that is bad news for Rhea Coble.
Bad news for Rhea Coble. Good news for Faye.
This is not the type of course where Rhea should be able to claw her back. And there's
Lindsay also in the burpee pit with her.
So you will have a podium battle from these 2 for 3rd.
Unless we have Alyssa sneaking through at some point. So here we have Faye all out on her own in first place. And it looks like that is Miriam there, who also hit her spear, who is going to be now chasing Faye. So we got Faye sitting in first, Miriam in second. We got Lindsay and Rhea back in the burpee pit doing burpees after spearmen.
It's an unbelievably tight race in the women's field. The men's field is still such a tight race. I mean, you've got Ryan Woods clawing his way back from burpees all the way back to third with Vijay Jones on him, chasing Ryan Atkins. Looks like he's going to catch him soon. And Ryan Kent just in front of him. Don't be surprised to see a complete flip-flop in the lead in the men's field again. And don't be surprised to see one of these two women or Alyssa Hawley come out and steal that third place women's finish.
Right.
I mean, this is crazy right now.
It's absolutely nuts. We haven't seen a race this close in a really long time.
Again, look how hard Faye Stenning is running right now. She knows she's got time to put gap between her two biggest rivals and herself in Lindsay Webster and Rhea Coble. And at the same time, this is finally a flat, dry section of the course. You can finally roll.
Open up and go here. Yeah.
So with Faye Stenning running out in first position and Miriam Bissett chasing her, we're going to throw it down to Steve Hammond again. Steve, what do you see?
So just going to give you a quick update. Obviously, we've got two girls doing burpees, but Alyssa Hawley has just taken third place, which is a real big game changer. So we've got Rhea Coble just finishing up her burpees, and we've got Lindsay Webster just finishing up too. So super close race out here for the women's. I'm very excited for this back half. That's going to be a good one.
All right. Well, as Steve Hammond mentioned, we now have Alyssa Hawley moving into third position. And this is very similar to where she was last year at this point in the race. Lurking, waiting for the mistakes to happen, because if twister or multi-rig becomes a problem, this is Alyssa Hawley's race all of a sudden.
And so you just heard that she made her spear, so she overtook Rhea and Lindsay, and she's fresh. Rhea and Lindsay are now coming off 30 burpees, and getting your wheels back under you after 30 burpees is difficult sometimes.
And there's something about having new life. When you were dropped and you're in fifth and you think you're out of this podium position, okay, you can run at another level.
And especially for Alyssa, because she runs with such passion and such heart. And so for her, that she's like, okay, I got this now. I got this. And so I'm expecting her to come on strong.
Well, Miriam Bissett, again, giving chase, trying to track down Faye Stenning. And this is Faye's section of the course that she's excited about, because it's an opportunity to really get the legs rolling, less slop. That wet grass is more manageable, and now some of this dirt and even gravel, that's where you can really open up your fastest miles the entire course. So they're just trying to click these ones off. Both of them should be working together at this point to try and put as much gap between the other three ladies as they can. Yeah. Because they may need it with this obstacle section coming up.
It's so key, as I've talked to Faye about multiple times, that if you can get out of sight of your competitors and gap them, get out of sight. Because mentally, even if they don't think they're putting their foot off or taking their foot off the gas, if they can't see you, they're going to let up.
They are.
So because it's easier to try and chase somebody down when you have that rabbit. So don't give them that rabbit.
We always talked about this for years. It's this concept of contact. And if you can maintain contact, you can stay in a race. And if you're running from someone, if you can break their contact, you have them.
Exactly.
Because when you're leading, you're always running scared. You're
always running
terrified. Wow, what a cool shot. That's Ryan again coming through some deep mud. And again, how relaxed does he look?
Super relaxed. It does not look like he's working hard. Does not look like he's training. He's, confident. He's now coming up to Bender. So he has 19th obstacle, and they've got about 9 left after this. Okay,
so with Ryan Kent climbing up Bender, he's not the type of guy that's going to be failing obstacles. So I think his biggest challenge right now is going to come from, can he maintain enough tempo to hold off Ryan Woods? And we know Woods is faster than him. But again, when we talk about this running scared at the front, there's something like being in first place gives you wings. Like it just puts a level of adrenaline into you. And look how close it is. There's Woods. He's past Atkins.
Past Atkins.
As we mentioned, this is a huge section of the race. Woods is going to have to not just run fast, but run clean for the rest of this race.
And we have Olympus coming up. We have Olympus, Twister, and Multi-Rig are going to be the 3 that could potentially get them.
So think about this for a second. These guys are all such talented athletes, but Ryan Woods has managed to do 90 seconds of burpees and still is running with them. That is remarkable. And when we talk about the prospects for this season and how that's going to go.
Exactly.
He looks as strong as we've ever seen him.
And let's not also mention that he's 39 years old. Like, I mean,
unbelievable.
It's incredible. Like we've talked about, we're obviously missing Hobie this year, but really that this is a sport that you can continue to. It's not just you have Vijay Jones, who's a young buck at 19, and then you got Ryan Woods at
double his age.
Exactly.
It's amazing. And Ryan Woods has been running competitively at a collegiate level or higher for longer than Vijay Jones has been alive.
Yeah.
So there he is, moving back into second place. Ryan Kenton first, Ryan Woods in second, Ryan Atkins in third. And if that gets confusing at home, it's confusing for us as well. And still, I'm waiting to see where is Ryan Kempson, because I think he's still, if he hasn't failed an obstacle, going to be able to claw his way back into this group.
Yeah, I mean, last we checked, it was Vijay Jones who was sitting there in fourth. So Ryan Kempson may have failed spear or tire, one of those.
I'm thinking tire.
Tire.
But again, anything can happen out there in this course with this wet, sloppy mess. And Ryan Atkins is a little bit on the ropes right now. Again, we talked about this is not his ideal course. He likes to climb. He likes to grind. He's got the ability to run fast. But when you have to try and go stride for stride with Ryan Woods, that can take a lot out of you.
Right. So that was an interesting shot. We just saw Rhea as go by, and Rhea and Lindsay following her as going out as the male leaders are coming back. So
yeah, it's a very, very cool shot. And this was a shot that was one of our opening shots from the race last year, I believe. And we had the men's and the women going right
so
by
they went
each
out.
other.
They went out, and then they hopped in the creek last year at this point. This year they're not hopping in the creek because it is a raging river, and they would all be swept away.
Okay, so again, the terrain here, this is that moment where the speed can be very, very high. And Ryan Kent's going to need to keep pushing right now to hold off this charge, because those other two guys are working together to track him down.
Oh, and that Ryan Woods is like, this is my section here right now where I can hammer.
Yeah, and if you look at his pure 10K speed, he's probably minutes faster than the two guys he's running with. And that is, I mean, don't discount that, how the significance of that. Look how smooth. Even with her choppy arm drive, like, watch her legs. Watch how powerful, and that stride is really practically perfect as well.
She's dropping like a 17-minute 5K?
Yeah, 17 flat, I think she did the other day, and she was disappointed in it.
Yeah.
So in a speed course, we said face standing, huge factor. She just needs to be very cautious right now.
Exactly.
Try not to lose too much time here, but don't take any risks.
Right. You just want to be smooth. You want to be steady.
3 points of contact on the wall is one of the critical elements here. Never remove a hand and a foot at the same time if you can avoid it. And also relying on your feet. Utilize those legs. Don't try and put it all in your grip. She's looking for her foothold. It's far. It's a very long
far foothold.
She's going to have to go handhold first across.
Yep. And that's difficult when you get your body out like that. But it looks like she's got it.
Good move by Faye. One of the things, it does help to be very light on an obstacle like this, and she is very light. So Faye Stenning, looks like she's going to complete this obstacle smooth. And here's Miriam Bassett. And again, for somebody that was not good at obstacles in the past, now finally is. Again, the handhold switch here is far. This is a long one. She's going to have to go foot first on this.
She's going to need a hop. Yep.
This is a really sketchy situation for her.
Yeah, she's losing some time.
Oh, she has to spot it.
Look at. She wants to go back.
All right, looks like she found the foothold. That's good news for Miriam. So she's made it through the blind corner. Now this other corner should be easy. If you've ever raced with Bracken, who is not out here today, although I thought he would be, Bracken would dive from the point he's at now all the way to the bell. He
missed it once, which was not a good thing.
He has missed it once, but I racing with him at a stadium race in City Field, actually the same one where I raced with Ryan. He mounted the wall, took the blind corner, and then rang the bell while we were still on the wall. We mounted the wall at the same time, and then he was gone 20 seconds before me, and I was trying to figure out how, and then he explained the dive afterwards.
All right.
Steve Hammond is out there on the course again with an update. Steve.
Yeah, hi guys. I am at Olympus, and Ryan Kent has just finished his Atlas carry. They're just literally going to jump behind me in a minute and get on Olympus. But Ryan Woods is probably about 10 seconds off Ryan Kent. And then Ryan Atkins is about 5 seconds off Ryan Woods. So it is super, super close. There's Atkins there's Kent just past me now. Woods is right behind, is first, second, and third. Very, very close to the finish. Now, they're going to head up to buckets in a minute. And maybe it's not that long, but maybe that's just enough time for Ryan Atkins to get back in contention for first place. Incredibly exciting stuff here. And watch out for a very fast finish.
Okay, so again, did we just see a slip? Oh, no.
No. Oh, goodness.
Wow.
He is super close to that ground there.
He's staying. I would not use those low holds if I was Ryan Atkins, but
he's
superhuman.
Extraordinaire.
So again, we're looking at about 10 seconds, maybe a little more, that Ryan Kent came into the lead on Olympus. Atkins 5 seconds behind Ryan Woods, and then probably made a pass on Olympus because he's incredibly quick on these obstacles, and it looks like he did make a little pass there on Olympus. So again, Ryan Kent being proficient on the obstacles too, allowing himself to gain a little bit of time, but basically he just came off the A-frame as the other two men are hitting it.
Yeah. And you saw both of them actually didn't use their feet at all on Olympus. Ryan Kent used his knees, and Ryan Atkins just said feet are for weenies and who needs them. But I think that's actually a really good, because you know where people fall off Olympus is actually putting your feet on the wall and slipping, because the wet wood can be really rough.
Now, there's only about a little over a mile and a half, maybe a mile and a quarter left in this race. So Woods is running out of time to track these guys down, and I don't see him there. There might have been an issue at Olympus.
There could have been an issue, as we've talked about. Like of all the male racers, he's probably the most iffy on the obstacles.
If Ryan Kent can drop the hammer now, and he likes to do that.
Hammer.
If Ryan Kent can drop the hammer now, he's got A-frame, bucket 2. That's going to be a big one. Low crawl, twister, 7-foot wall, multi-rig, and he can win this race.
Yeah.
And he would move into first place in the championships or in the
That would
national
be incredible
series.
for him.
2 races in?
Yeah.
No, that would be amazing.
Eyes on Faye right now, who is your women's leader currently.
Wow, and Faye again just running with just ferocity right now.
Fast like Faye, they say.
Fast like Faye. So again, for Faye, it's about opening up as much gap as she can at this time. I think she can cleanly run this race with no failures at this point, but anything really can happen.
Yeah, and I think that I'm so happy to see Faye out in front right now. I know that she's been going through some kind of like self-confidence stuff with all of this, and just really, really being like, okay, how am I going to pull this all together? And she is pulling it together today, and that is incredible to see.
We said this before, and we were talking at the end of our San Jose race, and we said Faye's going to come back and have a really strong race in Seattle because this course suits her skills. I mean, she can run mountains. There's no question. Yeah. But this is really her wheelhouse, and she's really in there in the slop.
Yeah.
It is nasty. So right now, Faye standing out in front. Miriam Bassett in second, and we got to look for that third position because it's going to be that Rhea Coble, Lindsay Webster, possibly Alyssa Hawley.
Alyssa Hawley dropped them after the spear throw, so unless they've made moves to pass her, Alyssa is sitting in third right now.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
So they're kind of 2 women in front of her. This is an exciting way to go, and here's a steep climb. Not a lot of them on this course, but you get the occasional, and that's Ryan Kent still hauling. And Ryan Atkins lurking right behind him.
Yeah, if there's somebody you don't want to be chased down by, it's Ryan Atkins.
He's just always finds a way to be right there. And again, where's Ryan Woods?
Where's Ryan Woods? And so Vijay may be able to make a pass there. And somebody who we have not mentioned or seen today is Robert Killian.
We saw one sighting of him early, and he did not look happy.
No, and so I'm a bit surprised because I actually thought this was his kind of thing. But it is flatter than he likes, obviously. And
it's also, I think, a testament to the depth of the field right now.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
What we've seen is just so much talent across the board on the men's and women's side. I mean, you're seeing 5 deep on the women's side while missing one of your key players in Nicole Miracle.
Yeah.
And yet still a really tight race. But it looks like Faye standing is starting to break away from Miriam a little bit.
It does look like that, Miriam's still there in the barbed wire. Faye is quickly moving through it, and she's not looking tired. She's not slowing down at all. And we have these obstacles coming up, so this is going to be really interesting to watch for women.
All right, bucket 2 has started for Ryan Kent, and I know you're tired at this point, Ryan, but there's no letting up now, man.
No.
Not with Ryan Atkins on your heels.
No. This is the last place that you want to let up.
Now, the bucket carry last year, and there's Ryan Atkins coming into his bucket. Last year, this is where Hobie Call took that magical fall.
And then managed to get all of those rocks back up into that bucket.
Yeah, I was going to say, he didn't spill that much. And you can see that this year the lids are on the buckets, so it's a little bit different. Some people have been playing with the technique a little bit because there's a lid, flipping the bucket on its side when they carry it, so it doesn't cut into their hands as much.
I don't know if I would trust those lids
personally don't.
on.
I've seen some people do it upside down because the lid is smoother than the bottom of the bucket.
Interesting.
But again, do you trust the lid of that bucket?
No.
Yeah, I don't.
Sorry, Spartan. I do not trust your lids to stay on. But the thing about the lids is that it makes everything uniform. That all these buckets are going to be the same weight. And so I think that's, in terms of standardization, is a really good thing.
All right, so Ryan Atkins again moving at second place, but you could see that it looks like Kent is pushing a little harder. I don't know if Atkins has resigned himself to second place or is preserving second place. We don't really know what is his fitness level as compared to normal after a month or more off of pure training.
Yeah.
But there's Kent powering through. This looks like he knows this is his race to take.
Oh, yeah. At this point, he's like, there's just a few things standing in my way. Unfortunately, those things can be doozies.
All right, so he's got a crawl, twister, 7-foot wall, and multi-rig.
And last year he failed multi-rig at the end.
Was it multi-rig or twister? It was one of the two. It was multi-rig?
Multi-rig at the end. He was doing burpees there with Killian.
That's right. So it was an opportunity for redemption. But right now we have Steve Hammond down on the field again with an update. And Steve's, bring it to us.
Ryan Kent is proving that he is going to absolutely smash this course. But Atkins is chasing his tail now. In third and fourth place. Third is Vijay Jones, followed very quickly by Ryan Woods. Ryan Woods fell on Olympus, so he had to do his burpees, and he was caught by Robert Killian. So Robert Killian and Ryan Woods are coming in together in fourth and fifth, respectively. So Vijay is looking very, very tired. He's my surprise for a third place. I didn't think it was his type of course, but I'll tell you what, he is flying. So that's very exciting stuff. Back to you guys.
Okay, so what we just got the update from Steve is not just that we have Ryan Kent and Ryan Atkins sitting in 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Vijay Jones, the young buck, sitting in third position. Yep. Ryan Woods still holding fourth despite 60 burpees now, falling off of Olympus, and of course his failure at the tire.
Robert Killian is there in fifth. But it looks like over here we have Faye Stenning, who is doing burpees on the monkey bars.
Which this is devastating.
Devastating for her. But, I just going to show, so then we have the question, can Miriam get through cleanly? We have Alyssa coming up after that, and we know Alyssa can get through this cleanly.
We talked about this before the race, these wet obstacles, these wet hands, these numb hands, and it's going to be a factor we knew particularly in the women's race.
Yep.
And again, Alyssa Hawley just setting herself up to just steal races. This is what she does. She just grinds it out. She gives her best. She can't run quite as fast as these other women, but she makes that point obsolete.
And I will caveat that we haven't seen her yet, but we're just guessing. And so it looks like Miriam is also going to be doing burpees here. So
wow.
Faye at least doesn't have to worry about losing. That's the worst, to be sitting there in the burpee pit and see somebody go by. Then you see him come in the burpee pit. You're like, yes!
Okay, so now with the two of these women knocking out burpees, all of a sudden, neither of them might end up on the podium again.
Right.
This whole thing might have just been flipped on its head because that looks like Alyssa Hawley right now. Nope.
Yep. You got Lindsay Webster coming up, and you have Alyssa Hawley there. Yes. So they are both starting the monkey bars at the same time. And let's see if they can get through.
I like these water burpees right here.
Well, she's actually smart. She's kind of doing them up the incline, which is the way to do it.
That is the way to do it. It shortens it out. Now, this is the barn we were talking about last year. This is so close to the finish.
Yep.
And after they get through twister, and 7-foot wall. As you see,
there we go.
Alyssa Hawley has moved into first, but that is Lindsay
Webster
Webster
in second, both getting through cleanly.
Just like last year, you have Alyssa Hawley with about 10 seconds up on Lindsay Webster. And Ryan Kent on Twister. This is really his chance to make his mark on this course. He needs to come through clean, and he has.
And this is interesting. So Twister is actually inside. So they're not going to be dealing with the wetness that Twister normally would present as an issue. So I think especially in the women's race, that's going to make a huge difference.
Massive.
It's not going to be the failure obstacle like it would be if it was out in the elements right now.
You're still going to see some issues as Miriam Bissett now off and running in 4th, possibly 5th position.
Right.
Looks like 4.
Yes.
4th position.
Thank you, mysterious fingers.
And so look at Ryan Atkins, just so strong, so methodical.
He's not doing the backwards grip that we've seen, which is much slower. You saw Ryan Kent, who is moving much more quickly, going through backwards there on Twister.
So with Ryan Atkins giving chase to Ryan Kent, he's running on the ground to make up that time. I mean, we're looking at now inside that final mile.
Yeah.
So,
and we'll have eyes on them shortly at the multi-rig, which is behind us here. And we have Rhea Coble, who's also doing burpees there in the pit after the monkey bars. So, man, these monkey bars are carnage for women. But we have to remember is that there has been an entire men's field come through these monkey bars and probably have gotten them muddy. And so you have the women that have to deal with that as the after effects.
That's one of those things that I really hope that gets cleaned up as we move on. So now Faye Stenning now chasing for 3rd position.
Yes.
1st place, Alyssa Hawley. 2nd place, Lindsay Webster. 3rd place, Faye Stenning. And expect a little bit more flip-flop in there with Miriam Bissett sitting there. Looks like there's a pass.
Yeah. So Lindsay looks is getting over that the cargo net a bit quicker than Alyssa, but I mean they're pretty much neck and neck. And so here we have our men's leader on the multi-rig.
Wow.
Behind us, and Ryan Kent, and he is coming through cleanly, and he's just got to jump over that fire.
Ryan Kent is celebrating.
And he is celebrating.
He just dominated the day. He's going to be your new men's national series leader for 2018.
So exciting for him.
Your men's champion here in Seattle, in Snohomish, Washington. This is Ryan Kent taking home 1st place in the 2nd race of the U.S. National Series, and he is your new National Series leader.
What a race for him. I mean, took the lead from the start, and it looks like we have Steve Hammond down now who is going to give us an update.
That's Ryan.
Ryan, I am here with your men's champion. Come here, buddy. What an amazing race that was. What do you have to say out there to people who don't believe in you?
You know what, man? I guess they have a right to. You know, I've been a little unpredictable, but I've always known what I'm capable of. And training's going great, man, and it just feels good to, put together a good one.
Now, that course out there, did that course suit you, or were you just in the right mindset to lay it down today?
I think both. I mean, I was really focused and determined to come out here and prove that, what happened in San Jose, wasn't just a fluke, but I can do better than that. And course really suits me, too. It kind of reminds me of the Carolinas back on the East Coast. So a lot of muddy running, and that's what I grew up running in. So it suited me very well today.
Where was the pivotal point on the race for you to where did you go into the lead?
Right through that little gauntlet, about mile 3, through Hercois, spear throw, and tire flip. Ryan Atkins and I kind of separated from the pack when Woods did burpees, and I knew that was my moment. I was like, if I'm going to win this race, I have to push the next 2 to 3 miles as hard as I can. And but Woodsy was coming on strong, even with doing the burpees. So it was just like keep pushing. And it'll all be worth it in the end.
Well, this is your men's champion here in Seattle, the one and only Ryan Kent. What a guy, and what a result for you. Great job, buddy.
What you just are seeing right here is Vijay Jones hammering out third place, completed that multi-rig, and he's going to take third today, his first podium finish at a National Series event.
That is so incredible. What an incredible race by Vijay. You know, last year when we were coming into this race, we were talking about how Seattle could be a great race for Vijay, and I think he ended up like 6th or so. But, you know, look, a year into the sport, and look at him. He has beat some of the big names out there and really, really just making his mark. You know, he is going to be a force.
This is a really surprising mix-up of results. I mean, I think you can't underestimate Ryan Kent at this point anymore. Like,
no.
He's been too strong 2 races in a row. And
yep.
I really was surprised by his performance at San Jose because I thought his training sounded like it was a little bit backwards from what he should have been focused on this point in the year, but clearly he knows what he needed to work on, and it's paying huge dividends. He's doing everything right now, and you're having one crazy finish right here that you guys don't have on camera right now, and that is Ryan Woods, and is that Kirk Dewindt on the multi-rig simultaneously? That's Kirk Dewindt, who's going to finish in 4th position, passing Ryan Woods on the multi-rig and taking 4th place. Yeah, that's Kirk Dewindt. That's a good run for Kirk Dewindt. Angel Quintero coming in 6th position into the multi-rig right now. So we didn't really see him.
Followed by Mark Batras. The question is now, where is Robert Killian?
Something might have happened, or he just might not have had his legs today. But Ryan Woods still taking 4th position with 60 burpees. So
5th position.
5th position, excuse me.
60 burpees.
With 60 burpees. And that is, it's interesting because that pass by Kirk Dewindt just shaved another point off of his score for the season, which gives a bigger gap for Ryan Kent. It's massive.
We talk about this now that it's not just about getting through obstacles cleanly, it's getting through them quickly. And that side by side there, you saw they came at the exact same time. And whoever can go quicker.
Robert Killian has just made his trip into the multi-rig. So Robert Killian is not going to be thrilled with a 7th place finish here today. And this will probably be the race that he wants to drop for his season.
Yep.
But you know what? Killian's going to wrap up this day and just move on.
Exactly. You know, he is a seasoned professional in this. He knows, that not every race is going to go exactly how you want him. And he'll shake it off. He'll get back, and Big Bear will be a great race for him. A lot of climbing, things like that.
Just a lot of talent coming through right now. As you see, Glenn Race on the multi-rig, and he's not the only one. So 8th position looks like Glenn Race going to steal that. And we had a deep, deep men's field.
Yeah, the question is now, women.
The women's race. I'm so excited to watch the finish of this women's race.
This is going to be an exciting women's race.
And coming over Bender right now.
It looks like we have Faye.
Hard to tell.
Yeah, that looks like Faye Stenning, but we don't know actually what position she is in right now.
Yep, that's definitely Faye Stenning. As she comes over Bender, just to note that she's got Atlas, Olympus, another bucket carry and A-frame, low crawl, twister, and multi-rig. So this race is by no means done, but these are definitely getting into Alyssa Hawley's sweet spot, and that is Lindsay Webster.
Who is over Bender. And so Faye has made a pass.
On the run.
Now,
normally it would be very difficult. There's Alyssa. So Faye is back in 1st position. Faye ran hard.
Oh, she ran hard because she was able to pass them.
So she did her burpees very quickly. I was observing that, how fast she was knocking out burpees. But look at her running right now. This is Faye Stenning's day, and I think she knows it's her day.
Yeah.
And she made a mistake, and she's found a way to claw herself back into this thing.
Yeah, so coming up, though, we do have Olympus. Olympus, twister, and multi-reg. So all things that could potentially cause more problems, but she has gapped them again, even after failure, which is huge for her morale, and it's obviously demoralizing then for Lindsay and Alyssa. So once again, you have Faye Stenning, who has now reclaimed the lead. She's running in 1st, followed by Lindsay Webster and Alyssa Hawley in 3rd, and we assume probably Miriam in 4th.
Now, Lindsay Webster looks fairly relaxed, but you know what? We've seen God bleed a little bit today, I think is what it is. And Alyssa Hawley this is the part of the race where she runs inspired. Do not be surprised if she makes a pass of Lindsay Webster at this point in the race, because when it comes down to just a mile, she can run stride for stride with her if it's just a mile. And that's essentially what the area of the course that we're getting into is about a little over a mile to go.
So this one, we haven't seen this many lead changes and in a race for a while now, and especially with these women. And so it's going to come down this last mile. It's whoever can get through these obstacles cleanly. And I think Twister being inside is going to be huge. It shouldn't be the failure type of obstacle that we've seen recently with the weather.
So Lindsay Webster, again, on a trip back from climbing to Everest Base Camp, doing all these things out abroad, but not really getting her normal training cycles in, is still sitting here in second position ahead of Rhea Coble, who has failed multiple obstacles today, unfortunately.
Spear throw and then
bars.
the monkey bars. Then, we see these monkey bars were a huge factor in here for women. And, man, Faye has opened up a gap. She has putting the hurt on these women. And just with this flat running, you can see how her speed has really, really made a difference for her to come back from those burpees there at monkey bars.
It's amazing. But, when we look at Faye Stenning, and last year, you really need to take that whole season and toss it out, because that was not her at her best. And she came into the season out of shape because she was suffering from some injuries, and she never really regained it until you saw at the end of the year at World Championships, she started to show signs of herself. You saw a few signs of it in Asheville and West Virginia towards the end of the year for her last year. What we see right now is Faye Stenning of a year and a half ago, when she was the one that we were saying she might be the next one.
Yeah.
And here you have it. You have that dominant, powerful stride maintaining through the entire course.
And she actually struggled this winter with an injury. She wasn't able to run for, I think, a month or so because of her IT bands. And so she's actually coming in off of, just really like a month or two of solid, consistent running. And I think that, like, if this is her still building her base, it's
scary.
It is. I would be running scared for the rest of the women out there.
I think Lindsay Webster, for her, this is a good reality check that she needs to get back to her training. She is still running.
I was going to say, I was like, come on.
No, I think, it's a good reality check for her, because, when you are this dominant, when you win the series 2 years in a row, you're the defending world champion, you got to have something to light a fire under you. I think this is a good thing for her. It's good that Ryan Atkins didn't win. It's good that she didn't win for them, for their training for the year.
Sure. And here's the thing. This is also a flat course. This is not, neither one of them
excels. They excel at everything.
They excel at everything, but it's very different than what they're used to doing. And it's not to say that they were training their butts off over in Nepal and climbing Everest. And you think that ice climbing is, fantastic grip strength work? It is.
No, of course, no. And it's not to discount what they did. It's of course simply to say there is a specialized level of training that does something for you differently, particularly for a course of this style and for where your heart rate is this high, where your legs are turning over at this kind of tempo and cadence.
And if they haven't been on a Spartan course since the World Championships last year.
Yes, and I mean, still look, an amazing run. Yeah. And she's not out of it yet.
No,
anything can happen. She could still easily win this race. But I think she knows from a fitness standpoint, this is not where I want to be as compared to everyone else. She wants to be fitter than everybody else.
Exactly.
And here's Faye Stenning right now, still with the lead on the Atlas carry. She's got set it down, 5 burpees, and take it back.
Yep. So after the Atlas, she's going to get to Olympus, which did cause problems for Ryan Woods. So we will see how the women handle this here. It is wet. It is slick. And shoes are not great on it. You saw that the majority of men going through it were doing it with no feet.
And if you are going to use your feet, as Steve Hammond always says,
heels.
Yeah, heels are grippy, toes are slippy.
That is my favorite little rhyme.
So you can see there is exactly one Atlas carry separating these two women. So this is by no means over yet, but Faye knows with this little push here, as she comes in, she's less than a mile from the finish line now, or just over a mile from the finish line at this point. She needs to hammer hard because any mistake would be tremendously costly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Open up as much of a gap as you can.
A one failed obstacle here is the race. It could be the podium.
It could be the entire podium.
Yeah.
As Alyssa Hawley now in third, is exactly one Atlas Stone carry behind. Now, for her, an Atlas Stone carry down and back should be a few seconds quicker than the other ladies. So she can close this gap very quickly if she can really turn on the jets at this point. This is Lindsey Webster again. That's a huge moment in the race here. Olympus.
God.
This is where Ryan Woods lost his podium spot.
Yep. But, Faye is being smart. She's not using her feet.
And you know what? Again, helps to be small. Right here.
Almost.
Almost.
Recover?
She recovered. I mean, that's the thing is Faye is so strong for her size.
Yeah.
But that was a huge recovery for her to not let those feet touch the ground. You can see how slick it is.
It is very, very slick out there.
So close.
She's using her knees, which is going to be very painful.
She got it, though. Now, that's enormous for her because now really there's only Twister and multi-rig that stand between her and the finish, but she did lose a few seconds on this one. There's no question about it. And again, those low grips can be really helpful. Using the holes is probably the easiest grip, but you have to hold those knees up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strain right there on either your hammies if you have your feet behind you or on your hip flexors if you are pulling those knees up in front. These are things that over the course of a long race can take a toll.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but they both got through cleanly. And
wow,
Alyssa,
it's close. Alyssa is on them.
This is Alyssa's. This is where she excels in the race.
Now look how she does this underhand. She reaches under that arm to come through, and how much more methodical her technique was than the other two that were
quicker on this.
Yeah, so she just gained probably 10, 15 seconds on these two just on this obstacle alone.
Yep.
And now here's the big thing. When you are one of these two athletes, either Faye Stenning or Lindsey Webster, you know that your big advantage over Alyssa is your running, and there's no more room to gain ground on her or to put gap and cushion between yourselves.
Yep.
And you have Alyssa, the most obstacle proficient athlete, coming into the two final grip-based obstacles. You're nervous.
And a small bucket, too.
And
you
a bucket.
Have a bucket coming up.
These are all things that when you're running in front of her, you're nervous.
Oh, yeah.
You do not want to be carrying in front of her, and you do not want to be doing grip-based obstacles in front of her.
Exactly.
Because you know that you did not give yourself enough of a gap if she's there.
This is where Alyssa excels in racing. And you see her in like this third, fourth position consistently at this point in races, and somehow she can manage to eke out a win from it.
I'm astounded by how she's pulled herself into this position, not just in third, but she's only seconds off the lead at this point.
Right.
Especially with the speed that Faye Stenning was running, and you just go, how are you doing this, Alyssa?
Right. And you add a few hills to this course, completely different. It is one of those things and we'll see it coming up in Big Bear shortly in the next race in the series.
Well, she looks strong right now, and sometimes when Alyssa gets real tired, she turns to this lumbering technique, but she's still fairly smooth right now, and that bodes well for her coming into the last couple obstacles. If she can put a surge at this bucket carry, she could still steal a higher podium spot. Mm-hmm. She could still win this race. So we have Faye Stenning sitting in first position, Lindsey Webster in second, Alyssa Hawley in third, and they're all within a minute of each other. All
within a minute. And, we have a bucket coming up, a low crawl. We got Twister, a wall, and a multi-rig. So we're really going to be looking at Twister and the multi-rig as those potential game changers. As we've mentioned, Twister probably less so because it is out of the elements. The multi-rig, it doesn't look like any of the men have been struggling with it, but it is wet. So the men have knocked off a lot of the water.
The first three grips are ropes on that before you hit the pipe. The pipe is just dumping water off itself every time somebody climbs on it. But that pipe is not difficult.
No.
What's difficult is getting to the pipe.
Yes. Once you can get to the pipe, you're good because the rings at the end are grippy as well.
Yeah, those are cake. So again, here, Alyssa Hawley sitting in third position, tracking down some of the men and trying to chase the top two podium finishers for the female. So we have Faye Stenning and Lindsey Webster. Now in fourth position, we presume Miriam Brissett still sitting there in fourth. We don't know what the gap is back to her quite yet. We will soon. And for Rhea Coble, a tough day, 2 sets of burpees.
Yeah, but at this point, there could have been things that have changed too. There have been other obstacles. Rhea probably has turned on the jets. She could have passed Miriam.
Could have.
We don't know what happened at Olympus, so we'll really.
Let's go, girls!
with tempo. Get those wheels turning because that's Lindsay Webster's probably favorite section of the whole course.
And if there's a descent, you know that Lindsay Webster will be crushing that because her technical descending, hands down, the best in the sport, hands down.
Oh, no question. And when we watch Alyssa, she's going to enjoy this climbing too because anything that's more of a grind, that's what she's looking forward to. Really reminds me of somebody else that used to race all the time back in the day. Can you think of her name?
I think it started with Amanda. Was it Amanda?
I think it was Amanda.
Amanda
Boone?
Amanda Boone.
Yeah,
Amanda Boone.
I remember that name.
Oh, yeah, she's old and washed up now.
According to Joe. That's okay. You and me both.
Yeah, I know. All right. Those who can't race, commentate.
Yeah.
But we got Faye in the lead right now, going over the A-frame. She will be coming into the bucket shortly.
Okay, so she's now between mile 7 and mile 8. And after mile 8, there's only quarter mile to go. So this is where the race happens, inside this final mile of work.
Oh, and so that is Miriam.
So she's still in the thick of things.
Right.
She's been gapped, but she's still ahead of Rhea, it looks like, for the time being.
Right.
So again, like I said, a tough day for Rhea. And for Miriam, I think some of this day gives her some confidence that she ran with the leaders for a while. She made some mistakes, and we're not sure she was the same after those burpees, but here's Lindsay Webster on the bucket.
Lindsay Webster has taken over the lead over Faye Stenning going into the bucket. And we know that Lindsay can carry a bucket.
She can. And I guess and especially probably carrying all that heavy stuff out in the mountains probably helped her with this section when we're talking about the stuff she's been doing. My question is, how did Faye lose this lead? She was running so strong, and is it possible she just burnt herself out a little bit too early because she looked pretty sluggish going up those hills in the woods?
Yeah, I think that's one of the difficult things. I love somebody who races with guts. And
yes, she always does.
You have to say, Faye races with so much guts. And sometimes when you race like that, when you go out hard,
you blow up.
You blow up, and it happens. So, but I think we got Steve standing by who's going to give us an update.
Hawley's just coming into my view right now, and she's coming in third place. Now, she has got about a minute to catch up on the buckets, but there are two major obstacles after this bucket that these ladies could fail. Let's hope that they don't. But there's Twister and there's Multi-Rig. But I have to say that Lindsay Webster has taken an absolute a lead on this bucket carry, and she is driving this right now, and she's taking it to the girls. Let's see if this is the move for the finish. Back to you.
So this is actually kind of reminiscent of last year in Seattle. At least, I mean, not with Faye in the mix, but like you have Lindsay out in front. You got Alyssa kind of lurking behind, and we got Twister and the multi-rig coming up. You got a little deja vu going on.
What's concerning to me about what I just saw was Faye Stenning standing by the buckets and not picking it up and going, which is very, very peculiar. And you have to wonder, is something hurting on her? She does not look nearly as smooth as Lindsay, who just climbed that with just such ease. It looked like, and looks back, checks her gap, sees where she has space, and now what we have is a situation where Lindsay Webster is feeling very confident. Oh, she's taking a moment just to adjust her bucket, just to adjust her grip. And that's the easiest way to do it. If you take it to a knee, it is less stressful on your body to pick it back up. And sometimes you just need an instant on your knee to feel better. Just do a reset. Take some of that tension off your lower back.
Yep. I always tell people, like, once you pick that bucket up, do not put it down. If you need to rest it, put it on yourself to rest it.
Okay, so Faye Stenning has got to get aggressive again.
Yeah, she's looking a bit. She's looking burnt out right now.
I think she's surviving right now, and I'm not sure if there was a little limp to her right there. We're going to find out more details shortly, but it looks like she kind of gave everything early, and let's see what she has left. Yeah. She's definitely tentative on this downhill right now.
Do not do what that guy is doing next to her.
Overhead. I've never seen that grip before.
I don't even think that's allowed.
On the shoulder is not allowed.
Not on the shoulder is not allowed. I guess over the head maybe.
So it looks like there's a little extra uphill thrown into this bucket. That was nasty.
I know. Good job, Steve.
Yeah. So it's down, up.
Down,
or it's up, down, up, down again.
There we go.
So there's the hairpin. So
question: we have not seen Alyssa overtake Faye yet.
Listen, Faye's going to have to push now. I know this is really a tough section of the course when you're gassed out to hit a bucket, but we're looking for something extra from Faye right now to pull herself back either into that lead or to hold off Alyssa Hawley, because Alyssa's going to come charging now.
Yeah, she's looking behind her, being like, where is Alyssa? It looks like she's having problems keeping grip on that bucket, too,
her
right
hands
now.
may be blown, and that could be a huge problem as well with Twister.
And the rig coming up.
Oh, and for Faye to have run such an aggressive race all day, this is not what you want to see for her to lose it. You see the bucket on its side there.
There we go. That is a different. But so the way that Lindsay does it, the way that where you're actually kind of using your forearms and not your grip, by far the best way to carry a bucket. Because you want to save your grip for when you actually need it.
So now with with Lindsay sitting in first position, her hands aren't wrapped there, are they?
She has them wrapped they're wrapped together, yeah.
In the band?
In the band, yeah.
I don't recall what the ruling was on that last year, but I don't. But Faye Stenning now moving, still in second, but Alyssa Hawley
is behind her,
creeping,
has gained, and she is gonna put the hurt on her now, because if you are an eyesight of Alyssa and she has a heavy object in her hands, you are toast.
Well, there's Lindsey Webster now in the lead, holding the lead strong as she moves off the bucket and towards Twister. A tough transition bucket to Twister.
Yeah.
There's a low crawl first.
There is a low crawl first. Gives them a little bit of chance to shake it out.
Yeah, totally. Get those fingers working. Open and close them. Squeeze them out. God, even Alyssa looks like she's pretty taxed at this point. I mean, they do not. This gap is now 30 yards, 25 yards, if that. So you can see the struggle Faye's having just to hold that bucket in her hands.
Yep.
Her hands are toast. Her back might be toast too, but right now she's got to it's so desperate. She's got to get that bucket to this finish point to have a chance to run at this thing again.
Oh, get a low crawl inside.
Not really a crawl, more of
the horse stalls.
A bent over walk, but this is good news for Faye. She's held second place. She dumps the bucket and she's off.
She's off, but
that
Alyssa
is only
I would not be. There's not a comfortable place to go. But you know what? Faye is going to open up right now while she can. But I mean, Alyssa is now. She's got the jets on.
She smells blood.
She's got the jets on.
We got Lindsay Webster probably 45 seconds up on Faye, and here at Twister, she's taking her time. She's drying her hands on the Spartan sign itself, and now. Backwards on Twister. This is huge. And that's her husband with her, coaching her through it. Ryan Atkins, today's second-place male finisher.
And, if she can get through this cleanly, if she can get through the rig cleanly, it's hers, But she's got Faye lurking. She's got Alyssa lurking. Oh, look how close they are right now.
That race is close. Like I said, Faye is faster, but Alyssa can run with anybody if it's inside the last mile, and they're now just over a quarter mile from the finish line.
Yeah. This is huge. And it looks like Lindsay is going to get through Twister unscathed, and that is massive. So all she has is a wall, a multi-rig, and a little jump over a fire.
Wow. So can she hold it? And now, again, look how fast Faye Stenning has working her way through this obstacle. She's wasting no time. She's taking her shot.
But Alyssa is very, very deliberate on this obstacle. But both of them have a lot of experience here. We've had Twister for a little over a year now at this point. And it hasn't become, the nemesis. It's no longer the nemesis that it once was.
It is a tough obstacle, but it looks like Faye Stenning has cleared that one. She's moving at second place. She's trying her best to hold off Alyssa Hawley and hold that second place, because that would be gigantic for her chances. Did we just see a failure out of Alyssa Hawley?
What?
We just saw a slip and a fall from Alyssa Hawley, the first obstacle I've ever seen her fail in this series. And right there within the last couple rungs there at Twister, massive as she takes her 30 burpee penalty. And now Miriam is back in this podium contention spot.
Like we said, anything can happen out there.
Devastating. And right here, Lindsay Webster making her way over the last 7-foot wall, heading into multi-rig. All she's got to do is multi-rig clean, and she's going to – honestly, she steals this race. That's incredible.
She does.
This is reminiscent of how her husband, Ryan Atkins, stole this race last year. He just ran consistent and clean and walked off with a win and watched the field crumble in front of him.
Exactly.
And right here, Alyssa Hawley failing this obstacle is shocking.
It's shocking, like very, very shocking. But so we still do have the multi-rig. So here's the thing, is that if either one of these women fails the multi-rig and Alyssa is able to make, I mean, where like she obviously has a huge gap right now, but there could be some potential.
Well, Lindsay Webster is approaching the multi-rig right now, and all she has to do is complete this obstacle. She's taking her time to shake out her hands first. And then, remember, it starts with the ropes.
Yeah, so the key is you want to stay high up on the ropes there.
And then she's
no
up,
issue for her.
And then up onto the pipe.
Up onto the pipe.
Faye Stenning chasing, also coming into the multi-rig. Now you have
oh my goodness.
You have a problem for
goodness.
Lindsay Webster. She's regained her grip. Lindsay Webster is hanging on. Lindsay Webster charging in, stealing the day with a first-place finish just barely in Snohomish, Washington. Here,
Faye, if she can get through this cleanly, she will take second. It's not what she wants, but what a gutsy race.
All right, so Faye Stenning trying her best to hold the grips on these final couple rings. Rings the bell.
And she will come through for second place here, which is huge for her. What an up and down day.
So Lindsay Webster with first place here in the second race of the U.S. National Series. A second place finish for Faye Stenning. You know she's happy.
Yeah.
Second place is a good spot for her in this race, but she had the win, and she let it slip through her fingers, and she's going to regret that, I think, later on this season with that single point.
Right, and when we talk to her, because it wasn't an obstacle failure that did her in. She was overtaken as fatigue at some point, I believe.
And it looked like she just started blowing up on that last incline in the woods before we hit the bucket. And then she was barely hanging on. She was on fumes. I mean, that was a courageous bucket carry from her because she looked like she had nothing left.
Yeah.
Now, Alyssa Hawley needs to hold on and complete one more significant obstacle, the multi-rig after this wall. And she's going to take third, which I'll tell you what, third place in this field on this day, not a bad run for her.
She's still hanging on to third after a failure on Twister and burpees. And you wonder, has that shaken her confidence going into the rig right now? She doesn't fail these things ever.
Like we said, there was an emphasis on strength training in her training that's not quite there right now. She's been focused so much on her running. She's neglected it a little bit, and what was her greatest strength now not quite where I think it was before, but still she's so smooth on these obstacles. I think that was more of a slip than a grip failure.
Yeah. It was just like oh really? Did I really just do that to myself? But it looks like it, here's the thing. It wouldn't have changed anything. Faye, both Lindsay and Faye made it through cleanly.
It might have impacted second place. She could have
Do you think she could have nipped Faye through that?
Well, it was so close at that point.
Yeah.
I think
that is
one
true.
clean run on this, and she needs to be safe here, but she's so strong that as you see when she grows from rope to rope here, she's got such tremendous grip strength. Just a seamless transition into the pipe, and then it's just an obstacle that is absolutely no problem for an Alyssa Hawley, who rings the bell right here, and on she runs third place in the third race in the U.S. National Series. Alyssa Hawley, huge podium finish for her today.
Great women's race. And, and I'm actually excited to see how beyond the podium, how, 4th, 5th, and 6th shake out here, and where's Rhea, where's Miriam, and really where we're going to see the rest of the women line up in this. But huge. And I'm excited to see, hear from them exactly kind of what happened out there and how it went down and the lead changes, et cetera.
Well, we're definitely excited to hear from these women as they talk about how this entire race broke down, and we want to hear where did things go wrong for Faye Stenning? Where did Lindsay Webster find that extra gear? Where did she come from? I mean, we were not counting her out, but we were saying it didn't look like she had it today.
Well, very early on, she wasn't really factoring into it.
It's like I try not to doubt her, and then she just continues to she continues to pull herself out of adversity. And we've got Steve Hammond down at the finish line with your top 3 women. Faye Stenning, Lindsay Webster, your winner. Faye Stenning in second, Alyssa Hawley in third, and Steve, find out what went down out there.
Guys, well, I am with, it's all smiles down here. I'm with Lindsay Webster and Faye Stenning. What a race that was. I was yo-yo all the way. What happened on the spear?
I almost made it. I was like, it would have been dead center, but I got the string caught on my finger. So next time.
So how was the mud out there?
It was so hard. I think that everyone that was racing, I don't know about you girls, but I was seriously questioning my training because your grip and your upper body are just so cold. You're like, I swear I have power and strength, but it just wipes you out, and things that normally are non-issues become so hard. So mentally it was really challenging to just understand that everyone's in the same boat and you can't be feeling too sorry for yourself once you have a fail.
Although being very flat, what was the toughest part of the course, Alyssa?
God, just trying to get through all that mud. It was just frustrating. I was like, come on, I've been working all that speed and it's flat. And it was just tiring trying to get through all that mud. And that barbed wire, I got my hair caught 6 times. I don't know about you guys, but I was just, get me out of this thing. So, yeah, that was frustrating. Yeah.
So you guys are great friends outside, but on the course, I mean, what's going through your head when you're in second place and you're being hunted down by Alyssa?
Yeah, I mean, I knew you just never feel safe. I know Lindsay, being in front there, I knew who Lindsay was behind me. I know she's a closer, and I know Alyssa is a closer. And so I was running scared the whole time. And so I don't know, no opportunities to ease back for sure. So.
Well, we're going to chat to you guys a little bit later. Go and get warm because it is freezing out here, guys. Astonishing ladies. They're going to cheer on in 4th place. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right. Well, huge thanks to Steve Hammond for all the great work that you've done out there today, and a congratulations to the top 3 women today. Lindsay Webster returning triumphantly with another victory, even when we didn't see it coming. Faye Stenning with a great second-place finish, and Alyssa Hawley thrilled with her third-place finish as you see Miriam Bissett unfortunately falling off the multi-rig, and obstacle still not quite ironed out entirely with her, and
wet at least. Yeah. And so that's one thing to get them when you're dry. The next thing is to get them when they're soaking wet and horrific.
A great race from her regardless. I think she's still showing she can physically run with these women. So
with them,
so this is now the post-race show brought to you by FitAid, and we are going to be kind of recapping everything that happened out here today, and then you'll get an opportunity to see the last few athletes trickle in, and it's going to be an exciting end to what was a really competitive race on both the men's and women's field, out of control. I can't wait to go look at all the times and see how that all broke down. And then talk to some of these athletes about how things shook out. And this is a nasty place to do 30 burpees, gravel.
I don't know. Gravel? I mean,
just rocks with mud and water.
Yeah.
So Miriam Bissett, is this her 3rd set of burpees today?
It could be more. Probably.
She hit the spear.
But we didn't see. There are a few things we didn't see.
Monkey bars, possibly Olympus, and also here possibly Twister. We don't know what happened to Twister.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's tough. And she's obviously raced very hard today, and running wise, she ran strong. I didn't expect her to have the ability to run on flats the way she did, but she did an amazing job.
And so she's really proving that she can hang there with the top women, and she's going to shake up the rest of this series. And it's a new face that's come into the national series, and excited to have her, and really, she's going to work on her weaknesses and hammer it home. I know.
Watch out for this woman in Big Bear, because the climbing and the long grinding running where obstacles are less of a factor.
Very, very reminiscent of Tahoe, and she's done very well in Tahoe.
And right now you can see really happy for her to wrap that one up.
Yeah, they're all happy to be done and to go get warm.
So we have Rhea Coble actually just reaching the multi-rig right now.
Yeah, just reaching the multi-rig. Another female is that Leanne in front of her who is now doing her burpees. So if Rhea can get through this cleanly, she will be able to clip 5th right now.
Which given that she did at least 60 burpees today, is not bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It would be huge for her.
She's taking her time. Made it to the pipe, though.
Yeah, if you get to the pipe, that's the biggest. And she is going to chicken wing this, which is a safe way to do it, for sure, though.
If you're trying to preserve your grip.
Yeah.
I personally do not love the chicken wing method. But,
I do none of the bars.
I just go sideways. More of a side shimmy on the bar.
Shimmy.
As opposed to working front to back. But it looks like she has made it to the rings.
She's taking the safe route. She knows if she can do this safely, as she is with her chicken wings, she can take 5th, and she is going to do that. She's going to pass.
Is that Leanne Wastany?
I do not have eyes on her right now.
So Rhea Coble finishing 5th, and she's not happy with that result, but she'll take it.
Yeah.
What this has done is second place is Faye Stenning now in the series.
Second place is Faye Stenning?
Oh, sorry, first place is Faye Stenning. Excuse me.
Series, yes.
Second place is Rhea now. And I think Alyssa Hawley's going to actually be up there, just given her seeding was fourth and third. So she's so she's going to be up there as well, 1-5. So Rhea will be 1 point in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
Miriam is going to be right in that mix because she took 3rd and 4th.
Yeah.
So again, you have a tie, I believe, right now
between Miriam and Alyssa.
And 1 point ahead of them is Rhea, and then up in the lead you have Faye Stenning.
And then so that was Leanne Wastany, who's then finishing in 6th there.
So she's going to probably be settled in right now and rounding out your top 5.
Yeah.
So our women's is a little more cut and dry, but like competitive, really competitive series, 2 races in. And, like we said, it's going to take a heroic effort from Lindsay Webster all season now with missing the first race. And this was our first heroic day.
That was definitely a heroic effort. And so, the thing is she can't drop any race. So she cannot have a poor performance. And that's a lot of pressure.
Well, this has been a tremendous race across both the men's and women's field. We watched a lot of parity. We've seen Ryan Kent assert himself and take control of the U.S. National Series 2 races in. I predicted he would have a good year. I never thought he would be sitting in first 2 races in, but that is the beauty of this sport. It's the parity. It's the requirement of being a well-rounded athlete. And you're seeing Faye Stenning holding on for first place in the women's U.S. National Series.
And she's got to be stoked about that. I know she wants. You see Rhea there getting warmed by the fire.
She hates the cold. Nobody hates the cold more than Rhea.
Hates the cold. But I think that even though Faye didn't get the win today, for her to know that she's now on top of this series has got to be a huge boost for her. Got to be a huge boost for her, and she should be really proud. She ran a gutsy race out there.
Well, we're going to wrap this thing up, and what we have coming your way is an awards show next, and you'll have to tune in around 10:30 Eastern time. Excuse me, 10:30 Pacific time. Excuse me,
you're going to get a little break
1:30 Eastern Standard Time for our awards show. We're going to do awards presentations. We're going to do interviews with all your favorite athletes who come in and finish today. And we'll be back at you. That will be presented by Bose. So from all of us here at Spartan Race, I'm David Magida. This is Amelia Boone.
Hello.
And we were thrilled to bring you this race today, the second race in the U.S. National Series from Snohomish, Washington, presented by Washington County, and a post-race show presented by FitAid. And we'll be back for the awards show presented by Bose. We'll see you soon. Sorry, I just was like, I think we're done here.
I didn't know if Steve was going to come on camera with us.
Oh, yeah. Go do your thing. My phone just died in the middle of that. That's good. eat today?
I can try and get you coffee.
Oh, I can go up there.
They're up there.
Yeah, I can go up there.
Oh man, cold? Good?
Sweat out there.
It sucks. It
sucks
out there.
guys.
Good job.
Well done, guys.
My coffee.
How was the footage?
The footage was okay. The signal was.
My question was: was that how it was superior to everyone? Were we choppy on Facebook
I
Live?
think so.
Yeah. Yeah, it was all very super choppy on what I was trying to watch.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm a little worried about that, but
But that's just, pretty,